Okay, we're going to start the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen meeting. It's Wednesday, May 15th, it's 5:03. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On to item 2, approval of the minutes, May 1st, 2019, and May 8th, 2019. The first was a meeting, and the 8th was a road workshop.
Make a motion to approve both A and B.
Second.
Any further discussion? We vote. All in favor? 3 of us. Item 3, review of the treasurer's warrants. Payroll 30, 31. Accounts payable 32.
Make a motion to approve A and B is read.
Second.
All in favor? Unanimous. Open session. Would anybody like to speak? Moving on.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Backing up, open session. Mr. Jackson.
It's sinking in. We didn't get a chance to have a road committee meeting, as you know, and we wanted to before your meeting. And you'd like to have a 3 or 5 year plan, I understand. And what I recollect is what we had planned for this year is finish the Silver Mill Road and at least shim the McFeeters Road. And we had some graveling on the Gray Road and graveling on the Line Road. And I guess you wanna cut the trees on the McFeeters Road there, if possible, and do some ditching that. And that will definitely take your money for this year.
Yeah, we really don't have quotes yet on all the aspects of that project, but we basically do as much as we can do.
Have you got a quote on the trees tonight?
I called Wingstrom's Thursday, they came Friday, said they would definitely get me the quote, but they knew they wouldn't have it for tonight. And I said, well, do what you can do, and
I would recommend myself is go from the Thomas Road up. And you're gonna have quite a lot of work done on this end when you get your trees down, your stumps, and there ain't gonna be too much ditching up on that knoll, there's solid ledge. But, you know, that's gonna have to kinda comb the edges and stuff.
We met with a gentleman up there, Peter, what was Peter's last name?
Paul Westbury.
Paul, okay.
Paul Westbury.
He'd worked, you probably know him. He
You
worked for
bet.
Haley's.
he was in the office when you were in.
Okay,
Yeah.
And he seemed really knowledgeable about that piece of road because working for Haley's, he'd excavated most of it at one time or another. And he agreed that the top of the hill was pretty much all ledge, but he thought coming down the hill where all those trees are, that we probably would be able to ditch there.
I think you can,
Yeah.
coming down.
He also has a stump dump right there. He owns that property on each side of Thomas Road, and he'll take all the stumps we wanna give him, so that's a short haul.
Good.
And he said he was renting a piece of equipment, he had numbers, I don't know, and he'd let us know what he found, cause he was gonna be digging.
Yeah, he basically said we can do anything we want, because he's coming in later and he has a plan
He's
for
got,
all
yeah,
that.
his
so.
in-laws own an excavator. That
Okay,
when
that
the
must be-
posters come off the road.
This morning.
Oh, okay, because a couple of people asked me.
And we drilled the asphalt, you've got 4 inches plus of asphalt there.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's a good base. If you take it up, you've got to put a minimum of 3.5 inches. And if they go according to procedure that they've been doing lately, they throw it down in one lift, which ain't gonna give you any structure. We always used to, I was foreman for Haley for years on the paving crew. We always put down, if we're gonna put down 3.5 inches finished coat, we'd put down 2 3/4 inches of binder, roll, and about 3/4 inches surface, just to seal the binder and make it smooth. And that's gonna cost you double on your pavement.
Yeah, like, it may not all get done this year, we won't really know until we
Right.
get.
Yeah, but, of course, it's very essential to get your ditching prep work for another year.
It seems like, it'll be interesting to see what the trees are gonna cost, because initially, I don't know what anybody else's reaction, because we really haven't talked since our workshop, but when I looked at that, I was like, oh my goodness, we can't take all these trees out of here. But as I walked the road, and one of the things that struck me was how much traffic there was on the road, that surprised me. Maybe that was just an odd day, but,
No.
No,
It was odd because it was light.
I kinda
Yeah.
got, on my way
Yeah.
home, I'm thinking, someday, somebody's gonna have to address this situation. And we can kinda Band-Aid it and maybe do what was done in 2002, or we can tackle this project and fix it for the next 30 years. And maybe it means we don't finish it all this year, but I don't know the numbers yet, but
Yeah.
my whole thought process kinda evolved on after spending some time up there, saying, maybe we do it right.
I think the Thomas Road, Seth might have a day or two, put some entrance culverts in, a little bit more ditching, but it's basically pretty well prepped.
Yeah.
And, 'cause another thing you wanna watch this year is you realize that the state cut the pavement over $55 million. So these guys are gonna try their damnedest to pick up the extra on you guys.
They're gonna be hungry.
And, last year, they didn't care about the towns. They were busy with the state, the big money. That's why they showed up in their wintertime.
Well, maybe we'll get more done than we think.
yeah.
I think it's gonna be I think they're all gonna be pretty hungry. They're gonna be looking for work. I mean,
Yeah, but I mean, don't let them talk you into something that you don't necessarily need.
Oh,
yeah.
I see what you're
Like
saying.
if they're in the area with a grinder, they're gonna try their damnedest to convince
Put it to use.
everybody that can to grind it.
Right.
It should be ground. It should be ground and gravel put on it. That's the way to do it.
Well, if you're gonna rebuild, yeah, but I mean, we can't afford it, that's,
Well, we don't know yet. We don't know what the costs are, and that's, I guess, I got a feeling if we can afford it, but it means we spread it over 2 years and do it right, I can see us going that way. But we don't know yet. We don't know
Right.
what it's gonna be.
we could have some figures.
It's a lot nicer road than the Sills Mills Road is in many places. I mean, that road, I think we actually could make it nice. Whereas the Silver Mills Road, I don't think we can.
Well, yeah, but you can't judge anything with the Silver Mills Road, because they shouldn't have been paving. The state shut them off long before that. They shouldn't even been paving that time of year.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that finished part, I'm just saying the way
The
that
state
road
paved
holds
last
up.
year, the same time we was paving.
Huh?
The state was paving in Bangor the same time we were.
The only reason they was is behind,
But I'm just saying,
Yeah,
they
they paved
paved
it.
well after we did
yeah.
last year. But
And that project, we got an email from Pike, and it sounded to me like he was taking the position that they had suggested that we reclaim that pavement, and that we opted not to, and that's not what happened. We were told that because of the nature of that road, the ruts were so deep, there was rock in the middle, he said, they told us we couldn't reclaim, we didn't
Right.
have that option.
Right, 'cause there's no base.
Right,
There's no
and
base.
you couldn't, if you got a trough that's 8 inches deep, you can't dig 18 inches in the middle to get to the bottom, so. Anyway, that's how, now maybe he just doesn't remember that conversation from last summer, but that's why we did it that way.
I'd like to have us get together and do a ride around. I can show you some pieces of road that, because I've lived here all my life, the different processes they've used and how they've turned out. And,
Is there any one place where has been done perfectly or ideally and that you can demonstrate to us, or is it every single one?
No.
This is how you should do it.
Doing the best with what we got.
No?
no, we've got shafted on a lot of, roads by the pavers.
Okay.
Like East Sangamon Road, when they paved that, they all of a sudden showed up in late October, November after a rainstorm, and before anybody knew what was going on, they paved half of it. So come in winter, what are you gonna do? You gotta pave the other half. And then the Silver Mills Road, we was a guinea pig.
Oh.
They moved the equipment in, the state changed the mix. So they mix up the batch, it wouldn't pass the state, so they throw it down on our road.
Whoa.
Then they go back and they kept doing it. So we just been guinea pigs because we haven't had anybody to supervise the pavement. We had a chance once, a guy was gonna charge us $1 a ton, and he was gonna work for all the different towns here. He was gonna get the contract, and he'd have saved more than $1 a ton on his price. No, we couldn't afford it. And that was a year that we borrowed a lot of money, and we did the East Sangerville Road shoddy on us. And, he was gonna take charge of it, and he'd tell them when they could pave, when they couldn't pave, and check, make sure we got what we wanted. And, we didn't want it done professional, because we could save ourselves money. Well, we didn't. We stumbled over a $10 bill to pick up a quarter. And, you know, there's quite a lot of history like that. And then there's the two places on my road that the state tried an experiment on. I'd like to show you them too. And, you know, we just take a few hours sometime. I'm flexible now, and whenever it's convenient for you guys, we'll jump into my truck and we'll ride around.
I'd like that.
And it's a little easier to show and tell than it is to,
Yep,
you know, try to explain where certain places are.
yep.
As far as kind of a mission statement for the committee, have you, either of you got an idea as to?
To me, it's kind of a repeat of what I think what we've been saying for quite a while. I would like to see the road committee work with the town manager and actually get our culverts itemized. We've never had that, you know.
I've got a good start.
I know, but I'm just saying,
Right.
this is stuff that
Yeah.
we've been trying to get done, has never happened. So that, you know, when you or Seth has an issue and it's over here, this is what that is. We already know that.
Right.
In the same way with the road committee and the knowledge as far as what sections of road was ditched. It'd be nice to get some history and somehow get it documented and take that information and try to figure out a 3 or a 5 year or, you know,
Right.
an evolving plan.
We got a program supposedly in our office that was supposed to have been updated 8, 9 years ago, but it never got updated. The sections of road where we gravelled and everything, one year we spent a lot of money graveling. And like on the Brockway Mills
Yeah.
Road, and there's some in East Sangerville and on the line road and stuff. And that was all supposed to be mapped on a program in the office. And, there wasn't much, coordination between the public works and, road committee and stuff, and it never got done, which would be good information, you know.
Yeah, and it's never too late to start.
No.
But I can pretty much, my memory's pretty good, I can pretty much update you and update Seth as to what sections we put a foot of gravel on and stuff, and it'd be an advantage to him when he comes to grading, because then the sod ain't built up on them sides of the road that much. It looks bad because it's grassy, but it ain't, you know, that certain section where we put a foot right out over the edges is, you know, still good gravel.
And that, I bet back to the road committee, I guess we're kind of seeing it as like a wish list. We're not asking you guys to say, well, this will be next year, this will be the year, but as long as we have 3 or 4 projects that we can always be kind of working on, and that's our goal, because
Yeah, that's what.
you guys,
That's what I
collectively,
figured.
you know more about the community roads
That
than
you
we
want,
do.
and of course it's gonna vary as to the amount of money and
Yep.
expenses, but I mean, we'll give you
Yep,
kind of a line item
yep,
area that we were talking about, and then, you know, you get to a certain point, and then the next year, another point, but it'll vary a little, we'll give you an idea where
Yep.
we're headed.
yep, and then we'll always be able to be working ahead, so that, and we've been pretty lucky, so, well, not lucky, I mean, it's intentional, but we've been getting a year ahead on our ditching and our culverts and our road prep, so that we really shouldn't have to be waiting till November to get paving
No,
down.
no.
We are ready,
We
Right.
should have a start time and definitely a finish time.
yep, yep.
Don't let them come flying in late in the fall.
No, I agree with you, particularly after that last year's incident, seems like there's a little pushback now, so.
Yeah, would have been better off if we'd just skipped that until this year and just carried the money ahead, but that's hindsight.
Yeah, and
And I
I
think
mean,
they
that
were
road was
there
ready
before
for
you
them
knew it.
for weeks, I mean,
Yeah.
they just didn't come, they kept saying they were coming.
Right, because they had too much work, they were behind.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as Guilford was in the same boat.
Yeah, they didn't do Guilford until they come on to us, did they?
I
Just
think they
before-
did it the same week.
It was them then us, or us then them, I don't remember the order,
I think it
but
was Guilford, and then they come over here.
one day then us and them.
Yeah.
But it turns fast, I mean, you go from, gee, it's perfect
Oh,
weather
I know,
and it's
I know,
over.
and then,
Oh,
Yeah.
we never got any fall. It
No,
went-
October
It
was-
went from summer to winter, back.
yeah.
I mean, everyone got caught with a bad.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Chris was plowing in October and his contract didn't start until
Them
November.
boys were hurting because they weren't nowhere near ready, but
Right.
They got it done
they
for
did
us.
good.
Yeah,
They
They
did.
did good.
Spitting snow.
Yeah, they did a good job on that parking lot out here, cleaning that up and getting it down to some gravel.
yeah.
Years and years and years of sand. Good luck.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Anything else on anything?
No?
No?
Just okay.
Item 5, selectmen concerns. Any?
No, I'll do mine on the correspondence.
Okay. On to road commissioner. We had a meeting. It's a pretty good meeting. Have anything addition that you wanna
Has
add?
anybody been near the West Road?
That's what the 2 complaints are on.
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
We have 2
I
complaints
haven't,
on
just
one
because I
road?
try to stay
Yeah.
off
Okay.
this time of year, but I haven't.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the road ain't bad, it's just that, I got a call yesterday that Cleve's mowed up half of the road. And I went up and looked, and he definitely did mow up half the road, but he did drag some mud out into the road. We agreed
Was he
we're gonna have
spreading
to-
stuff?
we're gonna
Spreading
have to
stuff
move
on-
it back over. He was
Spreading on a field?
heroin, I would say,
Ah,
a little
ah.
worse, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So he like cuffed the shoulder into the road? Yeah.
Well, he cuffed some mud from the field into the road.
Oh, okay.
road, yeah.
So, yeah, it looks pretty bad, but,
Have you been out there yet with the grader?
no,
Alright.
no, headed to the Lime Road in the morning, so.
Right.
And you
Still-
told me, that
still
was
a lot of
bad
problems.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's terrible. Yeah, people have been calling me every day. Hey, when you getting over here? I'm coming. Believe me, we're gonna be there.
Let me off the phone so I can get done what I'm doing and.
Yeah.
Right, right.
So that was the 2 complaints were that was the mud that got on that road.
I just, yeah, Lance called me and said I
No.
better go look at it, so. I
We
went
might-
and looked
These
at
are
it.
correspondence, we can do them now,
So is the mud out of the road?
Not right now, no, it's in the road right this minute.
Okay,
But when he goes by the grader, I'll have him just push it back out of the road.
okay.
That road ain't been passed for all spring, in on the private end.
Is
Yeah.
that right?
Oh, yeah, I got
Yeah, it went
a call from a customer line in there that lives year round, is in Connecticut. And, one of their cute little plastic culverts that's only down that much, didn't function, and the water come right out, and right down the center of the road, and there was probably 500-600 feet water going right down the center of the road.
Yeah.
You could get through with a four-wheeler, but that was it. And, I sent them pictures, and they wanted to come home, but they had to wait.
is that
I
Milton
don't know, maybe
Hughes?
they can get by now.
Is that Milton Hughes?
He's one of them in there.
Yeah, cause he was in the office, he said, I was on a cruise and headed home and my neighbor called me and said, you can't come home yet.
Yeah, no, it was, Paul and Janice Fonia,
Oh,
that
yeah,
was in Connecticut.
so that's his,
But that was on that private road, I could drive right in on the town road, so I can act, there wasn't no problem back there.
Is that the road that runs parallel? I don't know where West Road is.
You go East Sangerville, instead of going around the sharp corner, take a
Oh.
hard right.
McNaughton
there,
Hill.
Go start the road out through there. And once you get out through there, when you come to the next sharp corner,
Yeah.
that's our turnaround right there.
Okay, okay.
And our road, I mean, there's some wet spots in there, but it's hard pan, I mean, there's usually a few spots in the spring you'll find water, but it's
But
not usually
It was
muddy or
solid, it was
too.
sound, it was
Yeah.
solid, I
Yeah.
drove in, no watch or anything.
well, one of
That
the,
was 3 weeks ago.
one of the complaints says, she wants to complain about the condition of the West Road, but all it says is, I realize it's been a tough winter with snow, and she didn't put anything else on the form. And then the other
But
was.
she's not saying which part of the West Road.
No.
Correct?
She didn't say anything, but this guy, Milton Hughes, he says he tried to fill out a complaint form online and couldn't do it, so he sent me an email. Over the years, I've observed the West Road has received only a minimal amount of maintenance. The road is now desperately in need of gravel where the road fabric is showing and cannot be graded without further damage to the fabric. The bottom of the hill needs additional stone and gravel to combat the deep muck, ruts, and potholes that occur during the spring. More than just the usual skip grading is needed on the entire road as potholes appear almost immediately after that is done. Some ditching would be helpful to avoid areas where the water breaches the road and washes away the gravel. Thank you for your consideration. So, I didn't go down the the West Road yet, I haven't really looked.
Do you agree with that description?
Oh, yeah, there's some fabric showing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes to gravel.
Yeah, going down the hill towards the little pond there, it's pretty thin, it washes out the field, and goes right down the road.
So the field
It's
is a
not.
ditch probably.
There's no
There's no
ditch in the
ditch
field
in
at
it.
all.
Yeah.
It transitions right on
Right onto the
the,
road.
yeah.
Kinda like Milton Mills there on
Need a little ditch and gravel on that.
which he's in,
Oh,
same
yeah.
problem there.
Yeah.
But it's sound, it's not like where you're gonna go to on Line Road.
Right,
I mean,
Yeah, you,
so what's down on the Emerson Road.
right. Yeah, the line road is just terrible. I mean, terrible.
When you,
yeah.
It is, it
once you
doesn't make
grade it,
sense.
how do you think it'll be?
Do I think it's gonna stay for a while? No.
No,
It's supposed to rain right through, so, yeah, no, it ain't gonna stay, but it's gonna be a lot better.
And are we hauling gravel down there?
It really should have gravel, yeah.
but that's why it's, if you get out and look at it, I mean,
Oh, I've been through,
but that's what I'm saying, if you, we've hauled gravel in there, I mean, that's,
yeah.
it's that much above, it doesn't even make sense why it's wet.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be.
especially the water can get away great, but there must be just nothing under there.
Well, it's pumped over the years. Your mud and stuff will pump right through that gravel, and it looks like gravel, but it ain't, it's just
Yeah, all that.
mixture of mud and
Yeah.
crap.
So there's no fabric in that road?
No. No.
So what would be, would the, if you had the money, you'd pull out, what? 18 inches, put in fabric and then put back gravel, is that how, I mean, how would you fix it?
You put fabric right down.
Yeah.
Oh, just keep going.
And horseback it, the better you can horseback a road, the better it's gonna be. Every foot you can get it up above the water is almost like putting a foot of gravel on.
But that road, I believe, gets a fair amount of traffic too. I mean, that's the corridor over to Route 7 and,
Yeah. It gets all the traffic.
The trouble with that road is so cussed wide, they narrowed it up there last fall. So the gravel that section will be pretty good now, but it was 30 feet wide.
how much of that do we share with Dover Foxcroft?
None.
They don't own any of it?
We go up to the old chicken farm there, Rizzatello farm.
And then it
And
veers
then
on
Dover-
their side of the line?
Dover takes you the rest of it.
Oh, okay.
Where they had the beaver problem was Dover's. They tried to say it was ours, but they didn't get away with it.
Because we were asked, it's up for ATV access, and we didn't grant it because Dover wouldn't grant it. So we were giving access to nowhere, really.
Right.
Right.
Right. But they couldn't get the whole length of it, they could only get to that turnaround by the Rizzatello farm,
Yeah.
where the old chicken farm used to be.
Well, no, it was actually, we was talking about, that was down on the hot top side, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yeah, it was down there.
Okay, so they couldn't get. from
Dover said
Dover's
they,
end to the railroad track.
no, it was, the way Lois explained it, it was the other side of the Dover side of the line road, is what she said.
Yeah, I was the impression that like we had the south,
Yeah,
or the west
yeah.
side, they had the east side, or, you know, I don't know, but it doesn't sound like that's the way it works.
Well, I guess,
Not as
I
far as
guess
maintenance, I guess, but as far as who,
realistically, maybe that's where our line goes.
yeah.
But we've always, back years ago, they had some agreement that Dover would take care of a certain part, and we'd take care of the rest of it. And, our school bus always turned in the, Rizzatello yard there, and, the town's always maintained that section. And then from that section down around the sharp corner on Shaw Road, Dover always maintained.
I wonder if we really wanted to fix it, really fix it, if they would work with us.
No, we got into that.
I doubt it.
Have you tried that?
Well, we did that, we're down on the other road, we
Yeah.
tried to work with them. We did.
Yeah.
Didn't save us any money, you don't
No, I
feel?
don't believe it saved us any money.
I think you dig back, there was an agreement between the two towns as to what section of road
Yeah, I
each
think there
town was
is.
gonna be responsible for. And they definitely tried to push all the responsibility onto us.
Jigs.
Well, I mean-
They almost did on the beaver culvert.
Everybody tried, right? I mean, it's just part of the deal.
Yeah.
But the biggest trouble is, and it's happening right now, on the Borough Road, you got them potholes. We got a section on the Borough Road up along that flat, road goes just like that.
Yeah, that's a
Because they
problem.
crowd out, and I
Yeah.
do the same thing, I'm gonna stay out in potholes like this.
Sure,
That's
sure.
just what happened on the line road, and that's how you
That's
end
And
up
that's
being
got
30
30
feet.
feet wide.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody just keep,
Keep
Go
crowding
farther.
Moving gravel.
Yeah, that's right.
You might as well tell them what we did on the Borough Road.
What did we do, oh, the culvert?
Yeah,
Yeah, we went up, changed the culvert on Burr Road.
well, the
The
bus,
one that the top fell through in.
yeah, the bus called, garage called and said, we're gonna lose a bus if you don't take care of this.
Whoa,
So Seth and I discussed it, we went and looked to see what we had for culverts. You would have liked a metal culvert. I
I'd
said,
rather have had one right there, yeah.
yeah, I said, go ahead and
Waste.
order one, you know,
Is
go
what
to
it is.
Paris Farms and get one. They didn't have one. So
Ah.
we've put a plastic one in.
We did.
Well, the one you took out, it was metal? Was that the one that rotted on the top?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Yeah.
flipped it over?
Yeah, well, that's what we decided,
Yeah.
yeah, they must have flipped it over at some point,
Yeah.
that's why the top rotted. I couldn't figure out why the top rotted out of it, so, yeah.
Not me.
It wasn't me.
No,
we all know it's possible.
yeah.
So I could shoot
I
for
might
that
know who
one.
did it, but maybe
how,
I didn't.
how long of a culvert?
How long is it?
30 feet.
30? Yeah.
Yeah.
Continuous, not with a collar or anything, you didn't have to put two together or anything?
Yeah, had to put two
Oh,
together.
you did?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
20s.
So we
Yeah,
probably
that's
will
20
be
feet,
Oh, I didn't know that.
It's shallow, it just ain't much cover over it.
Yeah. that's-
fixing it at some point.
On a dirt road, I mean,
We'll
if
probably
it
have to fix
moves a
it or
little bit when you're
redo
grading,
it at
you
some
can-
point, like,
you can
Well,
correct it, but
we'll
when
have
it
to do
goes
it for
to
a few years, I'm
active,
sure, but-
you're gonna
we get
lose
some
it.
time.
Right,
Yeah, last
So on the length of a time frame of a metal culvert, you might have to buy 3 plastic ones, so you end up with a lot more money and then plus time.
well, at least it's not under hot top, I mean, you know, at least it's on a dirt road, so
Right.
Right.
we can, if we wanna put a metal one in that anymore.
Yeah, and that was kind of an emergency and had to go with what we had, so.
We did.
Yeah.
But back to this
And I didn't
situation on the
call you.
line road, I don't, that's an
right.
example where
That's-
if the road committee,
The right decision.
I mean, if you guys said this is a priority, I mean, that road, everybody's, whether your road's paved or not, you deserve to have a road, and so some year we should budget to fix the road. I mean,
Well, it's back to what the road committee and a lot of people have been saying over the last 3 or 4 years, everything's been focused on hot top and there hasn't been any money,
Exactly.
no money's been spent on gravel,
Yeah.
so we're just way behind on gravel, that's all.
Well, we spent one year, I finally hollered loud enough and convinced them that we needed to get everybody to the house with emergency vehicles in their vehicles 24/7, 365 days. So that was the year we spent most of our money on gravel. And it bought them up so at least they can get to the house. We had roads that you couldn't even get to your house with a 4-wheel drive
Wow,
inspections.
wow.
And definitely wouldn't get a fire truck in.
yeah, I know Dexter has the same problems.
But I think we do a combination of some gravel roads each year along with the paving.
Yep,
And we can make them, we can't make them top notch, it just ain't the money.
well, and the good thing about the gravel roads is you've got a little bit more window in terms of, you know, if October comes, it's getting late for paving, you can still fix your gravel road most of the time.
Oh, yeah.
So if we got some money laying there,
You can just burn
we
around.
got plenty of places to put it to work.
Oh, definitely.
And that's why if we've got, you know, we've assessed them, it's good to have something in the queue,
Right.
so.
The other thing too, though, on public works budget, that I haven't even looked this spring to see how it's doing, is down on the cemetery. Are we gonna end up having to cut more trees out of there this year?
Where?
Down on the riverbank?
Oh.
Last year we was told anything that's, all we needed to cut was what was leaning, so that's what we did, but I'm assuming we probably have more that are leaning this year.
I looked at it,
But I don't know if we do or not, but
there aren't
it
a
would have to
lot,
come out of that, that's all.
there aren't a lot leaning, but I don't know what the answer to our, I mean, look. if
Well,
the-
there is a letter that was sent to the Army Corps of Engineers, there's maybe some
Yeah.
help coming on the way on that, I don't
Okay.
know, but,
The folder is sitting
yeah.
on my desk, I have seen it, I haven't looked at it,
Cause that's kind of the fear, is the bigger trees, once they get so big,
Well-
they start to tip, and then that stump's coming out, and that's where we're getting all of our erosion,
erosion,
so.
yeah.
It's
If we
certainly
Cut some of the bigger
accelerated.
ones, and,
And maybe when
Let the new road
Ingstrom's
come
doing
up.
this, maybe they come down there and clean up some too.
They might,
I mean, assuming we have them do this.
yeah.
Speaking of that, getting all the way back to, I totally forgot, as far as grinding, were you able to get a hold of Kelsey?
I called Kelsey, he
Okay.
hasn't called me back.
Okay,
We can talk, well, let's let Seth get over
okay,
his.
okay, that's fine, yeah.
I've called
Okay.
multiple people about tree removal, so we'll,
Okay, great.
not, and nobody's gotten back to me.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Yeah, that's a frustration.
Yeah,
Okay.
so. Seth, could you fill that out for John Martano? We forgot to put in the you wanted a 15-inch,
Yeah.
and, I didn't know how long it needed to be, so I can get John to come in and sign that.
Well, I guess according to the thing, it only had to be 20, right? Ain't that what we found?
It's your discussion.
It's up to you.
I think the thing says a minimum. It's
Minimum.
your discretion
He's gonna
on.
want more than 20. Why would you only put 20-foot culvert in there?
Well, you
the
get to
residential
decide
level
because we
driveway
own it
is
afterwards.
Based on,
That's kind of,
right.
which brings us full circle. If you would like some more specificity in our policy, we could work on that for you.
Yeah, I've always gone just by what the state does.
Okay,
You
Whatever
talk
they
about
do is
entrance
what I always
culverts,
do.
Yeah.
yes.
you shouldn't have anything less than 32 feet. With our ditches right up next
I
to
know,
them, like
yeah.
that, your wing walls have gotta come out of that culvert.
Right.
Exactly. It's
If you're back enough, you could go with a.
And our current policy says essentially, whatever
Whatever
Seth
Seth
requires,
says, yeah.
they have to do.
It's up
Well,
to
it does have a
Correct.
minimum number on that.
Yeah.
Well, the only
I think
reason
it's
I
in
say
that
30 is because when you get 20-foot culverts and usually cut them in half, you got 30. If you cut them 32, the other
Then
half
you
goes
get-
in.
Well, I always bought a 20 and a 12.
Or you can buy 12.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know, I thought you
In-
could only
in
get
metal.
10s and 20.
Well, only 20s in plastic, but metals you can buy 12,
Yeah,
20s.
Huh.
And I always put in 32 feet
yeah,
for all my customers, because,
yeah, you gotta have.
right,
20 feet ain't enough to hardly pull a pickup in there.
you know, and most of these driveway culverts are shallow, you can't get them down real deep.
Well, he wants to put business in there, so you're,
Exactly, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, so they're
So that's
more of a
totally different.
commercial,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, you
he's
know the
also gotta
application-
size them according to the flow of water
Mhm.
coming down through.
Yeah, what is the
You've got
diameter?
2-foot
Yeah.
culverts flowing and you put a 15-inch one.
Oh, yeah, that doesn't work
Driveway,
either.
ain't gonna work with it.
So how big of a diameter are you gonna put down there? Seth?
15. I
15.
don't think anybody should have less than a 15. I don't care where it is unless you can't get it ground.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
Is
well,
that,
they've done away with 12.
okay,
15
Pretty
minimum,
much, yeah.
15 minimum anywhere unless you get a special situation.
and will that culvert be a metal one that Seth's filling out right now? Will that be metal, Seth?
We don't put it in,
It'll be
Right, oh.
whatever he chooses to put
He-
in.
he-
Isn't
Put
it
in-
whatever, no, it needs to be whatever you tell them to put in, because we're responsible for it after.
Right.
What would you
Either
prefer?
way, they're both the same price.
It's not
well,
about price, it's about longevity, and it's about what it should be there.
Well, I'd put a metal one in if it
Put
was.
that-
Then I
put
would,
metal down
then
next
I
to
would
it, and I will
Yeah.
sell it to John.
yes,
Okay.
Well, especially if it's gonna be a commercial application, you're gonna have heavier trucks getting in and out of there, it's
Well, I
not
know,
gonna
but
be
he's doing
down.
it on the cheap, he told me.
Well, it
so.
doesn't
Well,
matter, it's ours at
this
the
is-
end.
The cheap
Yeah.
is that you don't replace it 2 years down the
That's
road,
right.
cause it's
Right.
trashed.
that's
Well,
right.
Right.
But the only thing is, when it's replaced on the
By
town's
us.
dollar. Not the residents' dollar.
So,
So it needs to be installed
Properly.
properly on the front, and then that way there, we will maintain it properly afterwards.
Once it's put in, it's ours.
that's
Yeah.
right. Now, and who puts that in? Is he putting it in because he has a contractor building his driveway?
He should have some.
Seth?
Well, he's asked me that when he's sitting around up there to swing in and talk to him, because he'd
Okay.
like to have my input too.
Okay.
He's never been up there except for the one time he said he was
And
there.
then,
I
and
said,
then we
"Well, we're gonna
ran
be
back
right
up there and he was
And
gone
he was
He's
already.
gone, so.
Yeah. I know when he came to the office, Lois sold it to him, you know, have Seth look at it
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, talk to Seth about installing it because, you know, then you know, everybody's happy because he'll have,
Right.
so, but I don't know who he will choose, when he will choose to do it. I don't know how fast this is gonna move.
Mm.
So by conversation, for next meeting, should we have the culvert policy and make the amendment for 30 feet? as the minimum.
Okay, the culvert policy, I think, is in,
I would say your policy covers it, I mean, it's
Well, I
gotta be
think-
approved.
I agree.
And looked at by your road commission.
Yeah,
If he came across something where 20 feet was absolutely suitable, he might say, you know, I've never seen one before, but 20's plenty here, that would be up to
That's
him.
all you need.
right,
I
right.
get it, but they're both sitting there saying that you need 32 to get a pickup.
Well,
So I'm
and,
gonna go to
and
20,
he's gonna require 30.
then we ought to take the minimum out of the policy.
That-
You either ought to have a legitimate minimum, or you shouldn't have it there, one or the other.
Is there any minimum in the policy?
20 feet,
Yeah,
All
we
right.
don't need to reference any number in the policy, it's up to Seth.
that's,
I agree with you.
minimum is 20 feet, you're right. So you
so
want
do
this
you recommend
changed.
no minimum, or a 30 feet, or, makes no difference to us, it's whatever, so we're not talking about this
I
again.
think it should be a 30-foot minimum.
Okay, there you go.
You, 20 foot, serious, you put 20 feet out there and then you drive into it, it's not.
Well, not only that, even if 20 worked to begin with, and then all of a sudden somebody wants to change their driveway,
Yeah.
and we don't really know, and now we've got a problem.
Exactly, cause you get them short ones, you're gonna
Take
have
20
somebody
feet and
running
taper
over
it in,
the
and
Yeah,
go, well,
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah,
Then they plug the culvert up and then that's it.
that's all right.
You have to go minimum 30 feet, like he says, you put plastic in, you cut them in half, and,
Yeah.
you know, but, and then, if you put metal in, you put a 32 footer in.
Perfect.
Yeah, it is, like you could get.
You don't want me to change
I
it
thought
to
you could
metal?
only get 10s and 20s.
I,
No.
no,
It's up to him, cause he might have one
You
he
can
can
word
put
that
down 3
verbiage
feet.
there. It's at the road commissioner's
2 foot
discretion.
graduations.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
What's
In
the,
20, in 16, and 12, and
Oh,
14,
goodness, yeah.
oh yeah.
I have taken some culverts out, there was 3 in the
Yep.
galvanized, right? Huh.
does he have it flagged where he's going to put that driveway?
He does.
He does, I have
Yeah,
to look at
grade
that.
states at.
Oh, he does?
We got one on the Flanders Road that they stuck in there that it ain't sufficient. It ain't big enough to handle the flow of water, and it's way too narrow.
On the dirt portion?
I know, it's on the flat, just as you come off 23,
Well, there's another one.
off to
worse
the
than
right,
that.
going up through the woods there.
Yeah.
yeah, it's,
And Lois okayed it.
There's another one up
It's,
above that's, I think it's either 4 or 6 inch, it's not even scheduled 40 pipe.
Yeah.
It's like dryer vent, you step on it.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I was up there.
There's another one that's on Silver's Mills, same thing.
Yeah.
There's a 6 inch on Silver's Mills that's at, I don't, it's whatever that thinner pipe is, I mean, but it's not,
Right. Yeah. Huh.
it's scheduled 20, I mean,
Sewer drain, schedule 20.
Yeah.
no, it's not even sewer pipe, it's that, it's
Like-
the,
Put it into your gutter.
Schedule.
yeah, scheduled 20 pipe,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's.
So it's
sewer
not
drain.
even, it's not even
yeah, it's not
the
even
wrong
scheduled 40
application,
regular
wrong
PVC.
application completely,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah, I think we should have,
Somebody needs to inspect that when, after somebody
It
puts
was
some.
approved when it was put in.
Oh, boy.
how long ago was that?
Not
Yeah.
that long.
Yeah, well, on the Flanders Road, that was now, that shop one. Was Lois approved it, she was the road commissioner at the time.
And it is 20 feet.
Yeah, so it belongs to us now.
so that's why I'm not
Butch
approving
was
anything.
complaining about it. He said there's a 2-foot above that.
Yep.
He said, how's that little culvert gonna take 2 feet of
You know,
water?
you
Well,
need a
it
motion in to amend
Right.
that, or you all set, or you can just do it and bring it for the next one.
Yeah.
I'll just do it and bring it, and you guys will.
Yep, yep, if you wanna just email us a copy, then we,
Yep.
if we have questions, we'll get back to you, and we'll
Yep,
be ready when we
or-
get here.
Or things you want me to
Yep.
think about rewriting, and, yeah.
Sounds good. Anything else, Seth?
Yeah, there's just a guy on the 122 Flanders Hill, guy
Oh.
that was complaining about the water running on his land. What looks to me is the frost went out on that side and it kinda pushed in a little bit and it is holding a little bit of water there. The water's still running, he tells me it's not, but you can see it trickling down, but it really should be cleaned out a little bit down by there. Nothing serious. But I told him to clean it out and he was happy, so.
Good.
Well,
Good.
I've talked to him 4 times, so as
Yeah.
long as he's now happy and
Oh,
we
yeah, no,
get
he was happy,
something.
he thinks that water's running onto his land from there and I don't think it is, but some
There's
people-
nothing you can do.
Right. But the ditch did, it's pushed down a little, you can see when the frost went out, it's cracked right out on the side, and it's pushed down a little. And it kinda pushed into the ditch, nothing, just needs to be trimmed up a little.
Okay.
We got a complaint about the entirety of the East Sangerville Road.
From stem to stern?
Yeah,
But there's one place over there that, a guy kept carrying all over snow from his side of the road over on our side, and the new boys couldn't push it back, and that's one thing we gotta reenact, is that policy that no snow, and it's a state policy, state rule.
Local police won't do anything about it.
They won't,
No, they won't.
they won't.
The local police will not do anything about it.
No, but we can if we.
What can, if our police department won't enforce it, what can you do?
My neighbor does the same thing on Route 23. The plow,
Across
the state plow trucks complain, they've talked to him, but other than that, they won't do,
I
Whoa.
have
No
anything.
people on Silver's Mills that do it. and-
What sense having a law?
I don't
That's a
know.
good question.
we've
If you can't
adopted the
enforce
position
it,
that we
we
don't set up ordinances we can't enforce
That we
for the
can't
same
enforce
reason.
Because,
It just creates
I got
angst.
pushed across the road and no one, I get reprimanded awful quick.
same here,
Maybe I'm just a good guy and they
You listen
accepted
to,
it,
you
but-
listen to the reprimand and,
yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, we have trouble with that all went along, cause nobody will do nothing about it.
No, it's hard on your plows, I mean, you're going along feeling that snowbank because you can't see out your windshield.
That's right.
And all of a sudden, kabang,
Yeah, but
you run right into it.
it's hard on the pedestrian when you're driving down the road and
That's right.
this guy's going back up for his next swipe and he's got a bank there that you don't even know about.
That's right.
Right.
I hit that a few times on my road and wasn't very happy.
Once
Definitely
that
made
last
sure
one,
people
he
knew
hit,
about
he
it,
hit
so
one of
they're
them,
doing good.
Brittany, jackknife right out in front of another vehicle.
Whoa,
no,
wow.
that's what we
Brought his
said.
truck right
It was an
around.
accident.
Yeah, I don't understand why they can't enforce, but they won't.
Wow.
Cause we don't have a constable, so,
Yeah, but I mean, the sheriff's department won't enforce.
No.
right. And they're the only enforcement that town Sangerville has.
Correct. Well, state police.
Where Dover has Dover police,
Right,
see,
local.
whether they force it or not, but I mean, they have another option.
Yep.
But I'd put a notice in the paper in the fall, and, then you can bluff them.
Or
I
not.
thought he was gonna list the culprits. Stop doing it.
Yeah, right.
Public shaming.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, no, I guess not.
Okay.
So that, yeah, that's fine.
We're on to item 7, new business, paving quotes, and budget funds.
Would it be possible to move to number C? I'm kind of trying to get to the school events.
Do you guys mind moving?
Not at all.
Okay, we will move ahead to C.
Thank you.
Smoking policy for Veterans Park.
Okay, I researched it. I copied the law if anybody wants to know what the law says, but basically the law says public indoor places. The only outdoor places the law talks about are restaurants that have outdoor seating. You can still enact a policy and or an ordinance but you're gonna find out that, yes, enforcement is the
Right,
issue.
right.
Isn't it
You're gonna,
incredible how it just,
I
Everything
know,
comes
took a minute.
yeah.
yes, that is the issue. So, that being said,
But you can put up a
We
sign.
We can sign the
we
hell out
can-
of it.
Yeah,
we can still put up signs, we may have to buy them instead of getting them from the hospital, because the hospital requires a policy.
That was the care they did to us.
Yeah,
So
right.
remember 2 weeks ago when we
Yeah.
had the meeting, I had checked in because I was trying to come up with something a little more positive than just all these no smoking signs.
Sure.
So I thought if we were able to make a healthy, wellness zone, that'd be a little more positive.
Sure.
So I had checked with the hospital and she mentioned they had the grant and that she could order up to 10 signs. So then when I brought it to everyone's attention and we were going to move forward in that direction, then she kind of threw out, oh, by the way, the town needs to have an ordinance as well in order to receive the signs.
An ordinance or a policy?
She said
Well,
ordinance, didn't she? And-
I looked at
'cause she sent us the,
yeah, I looked at ordinances, cause
Did
she
you see
said,
what Guilford had?
Guilford does not have it
The only
online.
thing is, Jason, is we can't do an ordinance, we can do a policy.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to have a town vote for it.
So, I mean, it's just informally talking with the other rec people, I mean, we were just more like, we don't really care about, too much about the sign per se, I mean, if we're not really ready to move in that direction, I mean, we just wanted to put up,
Well, not that, I think it's a bad idea not to allow people to smoke
Oh, yeah.
at the rec fields, but if you want an ordinance, you're gonna have to wait till
Next
a
year.
town meeting.
Right.
Can you still put up signage? Yes.
Well, we'll just go with just our own signs and just skip the hospital thing. It's kind of what we were kind
Yeah.
of looking at.
Maybe you only buy a couple of signs and you work on an ordinance
Yeah, they're
for
not
next
terribly
year?
expensive. They're like, I mean, to get like a metal sign as opposed to the plastic ones that just break.
Why don't you ask the hospital if they have to have an ordinance or a policy?
Yeah, I can read her email. I can-
Because if-
I didn't bring it with me,
I would be
I'm sorry.
interested in the policy if you're gonna get $300 worth of signs for
Right.
free. You can't enforce it, and it's not really, there's
No
nothing.
harm.
There's-
Right.
So
No,
free is-
we
But
can do
it's
that.
300, it's, the signage is where I was,
Put up a smoke-free zone.
the only value in
Yeah,
the only value of the policy is the value of the signs you're getting from
Yeah.
it,
Right.
if that was.
You almost be better off with,
She
please
said-
don't smoke.
Yeah, she sent a policy with it, so,
A policy.
a template for a
The
policy.
state had provided a sort of a template, but it was
But
more
it's-
set for a business.
Yeah, and it says policy, it does not
Doesn't
say
say policy.
ordinance, yeah.
Well, if it was a business, there would be a policy, it wouldn't.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Have an ordinance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called general policy template.
So we could,
Now, your code enforcement officers have, tend to them, right?
No.
Policies. Oh.
policy, no, ordinance, probably. He'd be your person to send out.
Right.
But it states right in, planning board states that the code enforcement
I don't know if your code enforcement is enforcing policy or ordinance.
Ordinance.
Just ordinance, just
Not
ordinance.
No policy.
No policy.
Okay.
No.
No policies. Just
And
ordinance.
even with the ordinance, George and I have, he's had a lot of trash
Sure.
complaints at this time of year, and he wanted to know if he could get, if the owners refused to remove the trash, if he could hire somebody to remove the trash and bill the owners, and I told him no, and I cited statute, and he didn't like that answer, so
Well, that was proposed once before.
I emailed, MMA, they said absolutely not. You can't go on to somebody else's
Correct.
property,
Right.
it's trespass.
You're gonna create a big
When
problem.
So-
When I first came onto the board, there was one residence that between code enforcement and the board, they were at the point of already having a contractor with an excavator, with a thumb and a dump truck, and they was ready, that was, the meeting was to,
Whoa.
he was
Go
going
take this
in,
person's stuff
take everything off the lot, and we're gonna haul it all the dump,
and then bill you for it.
and bill them for it, 100% bill them. And I was,
Oh, and he's talking tax lien on your property if you don't pay it.
Oh, gee.
now, we have in the past, and I think it's okay to do this, is we have implemented, and I can't remember, do you remember how much it was, a daily fine?
Right.
It's listed in the
And
statute
that goes on
as
their
well.
taxes.
And that 100%, and that adds up very quickly, and
Yeah.
something happens very quickly when you do
Yep,
that.
because it's subject to the interest rate, all of that.
Okay,
That is your leverage.
okay.
That came out in the planning board, George brought that up.
So,
Was it $55 or $100 a day?
Happened
100.
to your old neighbor, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
I
think
have-
whatever you said
Very
in
quickly.
your ordinance.
Yeah.
You
I
said
have
that
it.
any,
Not per day, I mean,
What did you say?
it was $55 or $100.
So
But-
I will
Yeah,
get back
it's-
to
it's-
Jason
it's-
as to
But
whether.
this is a mechanism
it's
to enforce
policy
an
or
ordinance,
That's
not
right.
a policy.
And if
Right.
it's a
No, that,
policy,
honestly, that's
I'll
my,
work
why I
something
was.
up and we'll get it approved and,
Well, we can keep the sign that we just have like $10 signs or whatever. That's okay?
Did you get the signs already?
you get $10 signs,
Yep,
put them up.
that we did.
Good.
There
Yeah,
you
we're
go.
good with that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Yeah,
not gonna,
absolutely.
Yeah,
just know that if someone says, you have no right to stop me, they're correct.
Right.
All you're doing is basically public shaming anybody by
Yeah, don't-
pointing the
That's all
sign.
work out.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
but that was my point was, is, cause I am definitely not about policies and I don't really like them, but if the hospital was gonna provide through this grant, some really nice looking metal signs, and there's a certain value there with those, that.
And you need a policy.
I would
You
be,
might be able to
We
get
do
one.
it.
I would be in favor of writing a policy
Yeah.
so that you would be able to get these nice signs for the area.
But I think the rec committee one had a chance to talk about it. We haven't had a meeting to
Yeah,
really discuss.
that's fine.
Because we didn't know about that
Mhm.
part of it. I mean, it was like, oh yeah, we'll give you the sign.
We'll share that with them.
It sounds like we're all in favor of it if that's what you wanna do, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
An ordinance is different, but policy we can do something.
Or anything more disgusting if you don't smoke and a person put the smoking, put the smoke right at you.
Yeah, I know.
Now I used to smoke, but back then, we was 98.5% majority. Now it's turned the other way.
Yeah.
I even had a hired man that would get on the upwind side of me after we ate lunch, like a cigarette. I'd have to move, he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask one more question under this section, or?
Of course.
I knew it's different. So I know we had some, informal discussions, or, I mean, we haven't really fleshed out, like, moving the road and doing all that kind of stuff, but one of the things the rec committee had recommended, several years ago was to build the walking trail. So, are we able to at least maybe check with a few contractors and see if they would donate any in-kind equipment to do some of that, or should we just not even bother for this year? Until something else is fleshed out, the other project.
I'm thinking our road committee ought to help us with this.
I don't know, well, I think, beginning is, we only have a town manager that's getting her feet in the door. So what I would like to see is give her another week or two, and reach out to whoever about the boat landings and stuff like that and see
All
what's
right, I'll start
available
thinking.
and maybe, cause if we move the road over to there, that's a really good start to a walking path. I mean, we could do something maybe in conjunction at the same time.
It's just, yeah, to spend even donated time and money on something that might end up having to be moved seems not optimal.
I just wasn't sure, because that's a fairly big operation, so I didn't know if that was a couple years down the road, or.
I think we
grants
should
and all
look
that
at
stuff,
it.
or-
I think it's a major safety issue myself, and I think it needs to be expedited as soon as we can.
We should know whether it's possible or not, and I think we should assess that this year.
But the biggest
I
thing
didn't
is.
tell you this, but I think the rec field's gonna come into a little finances that you'll be able to use for walking paths and stuff.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of this, but we, and along with the rec committee, we've talked about reconfiguring that field. One of the problems right now is the access to the water goes right through the ball fields. And when you've got 75 kids there, and people are trying to get in and out of there and everybody's doing their own thing, everybody has a right to do this, it's just not optimal to have a party barge going right through the middle of those fields. It looks like we have plenty of land to maybe go around, and so but nobody's even put on a pair of boots and walked through the woods yet. But that's kind of what we're thinking, is reconfigure that field so that it works for everybody. The people that wanna use the water and the ball fields, and so that's what we're referring to.
Yeah.
And that would be something where some of the folks on the road committee would have a pretty good eye walking through there as to whether it was even possible or not.
So how far from the river does it have to be?
We don't know any of that yet.
Oh,
If you go to, like I said, if you go to that one they put at the head of Sebec Lake, when it comes to the state and what they can do compared to what the town can do, when they're putting these in, the rules change, and that's why I think it's important to get them involved, because, I mean, that road they put in is a very nice road, it's definitely within 100 feet of the water, and it follows all the way up through there. It's a really nice road, they did a good job. I don't know what that means for us and what we can do,
okay. So
but
it's
I
not
would think
something-
with their involvement, maybe it can work.
Are you referring to the state or the road committee? When
I'm
you say
referring
they
up
are.
there as a state.
Okay,
meaning,
okay.
You know, what they say, even
Sure.
dealing with the road committee, but once you get the state involved in designing it and helping, it's gonna change what everybody,
Well,
might be able to do.
The state and DEP is involved anyway when it comes to water.
Right,
We have to be licensed to even work near water.
right.
I can't even dump a load of gravel within 100 feet of the water for camp owners or anything.
But we've got quite a lot of room there.
Oh, yeah. You're
And
talking on the town side of the ball field?
Yep.
correct,
Yeah.
Okay.
correct, between the dam and the new soccer field.
Okay.
We'd like to go around that side, and what's happening is we need new, gym equipment, we've got walking trails, so we got all these moving parts that we really don't wanna plant until we know where the road's gonna be.
Right.
So I would like to, this summer, And it may be that we all look at this and say, oh, it's not viable. At least then we can move on with the other stuff. But I'd like to kind of do a feasibility study at
That's-
least.
They would kind of tie together your walking trails and
Yes,
the
yes.
beautification of that area, if you
Yep.
had the roadway in there.
And you could have 70 kids playing ball and folks could still get around there and go enjoy the waterfront and not, you know.
Right.
Cause that's kind of the thought, is to move the boat landing and everything, like over to where the beach is. So when you drive straight into the water, that road is water access. You can, your boat, swim, whatever you wanna do, that's what you're doing. And then that leaves the entire rest of the facility for the rec department to do whatever, I mean.
You'd still use that for parking and stuff for your.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
reconfigure that to however you,
Fields and stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Well, but eliminate the whole road up through the.
No road through the
Through
middle.
the middle.
So if, you know, if Jason and the committee decided that, you know, they wanna expand the playground equipment, they have that space up through the middle, they could do something with that, or whatever they wanted to do with it.
Cause the middle would be like a central playground as opposed to have, cause if you're at the back field, it's too far to send your kid down to the front field.
Right.
But if the playground could be in the current road, then it's kind of middle to all three.
Yeah.
It's kind of that
So
area.
you imagine like, the Dexter's boat launch, they've got the big beach, they've got swing sets, they got all of that. And to access the boat launch, you go behind all of that. You're not driving through the middle of all that recreating. That's kind of how I imagine if we could do it, it would work. It's gonna,
They ever
Wouldn't
go
spend some
along on the beach side?
Yeah.
yep. For years, that was
The
really,
state has got one on the other.
yeah, well, I think the state gave it back to the town and the town put a nice launch in there for the first time ever. But yeah, up until this year, that was just a gravel launch and it was really boulders.
It was pretty rough.
And you couldn't get under the bridge in the springtime with a boat with a windshield.
Right.
So now the fishermen can use it, but, you know, they've never had that set up so you were driving through the playground.
Yeah, very dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very,
just,
very dangerous.
but the first time he mentioned it, so the next time I was going by, there was a big tournament, and I looked, and there's a party barge, and there's, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's just
Trying
not
to make
right.
its way through.
Yeah, he's not doing anything wrong, but it's just
Right.
right in the middle of
Right,
75 kids,
Right.
yeah.
so.
And then you get down there and you can't turn around and back your boat into the,
Oh, and I've heard that, I've actually got phone calls from people that are out on the pond. And now it's time they wanna go home,
And
and
they can't get,
They can't
yeah, they can't get their trailer
Yeah.
down in through there, they can't get out of where they're at, because there's too many vehicles up there. What
whoa.
do I do? I was like, I would go fishing for another 20 minutes.
when it gets dark, they're all gonna be done.
Yeah.
Sixth inning, just be
Yeah,
patient.
yeah, right, yes.
They'll be done in a little bit.
And, just real quick, the town insurance inspector came, I think I don't know, late September, October, and they, for the first time I've been involved, they came down to the rec field and they reviewed some different things, so there was a hit list of some fixes that we had to make. So a couple of the things that I think will probably need maybe public works help is the old equipment needs to be removed.
I think we ought to ask about that, because the meeting that we was in,
Yeah, I was just gonna say this.
we went to a class on this, or this was a topic within the class that we went to, and there's zero liability for the town on any town recreation field. So if we have no liability, why would our insurance company tell us what we can or can't do?
Well, these particular pieces, it's like probably a 19.
So I understand that, but
version of
that's my
slide
question.
stuff.
But
It's already kind of.
it's a state statute that when it comes to recreation, the towns have zero liability. And they set it up that way so that the towns would be comfortable having recreational fields. So if a teeter-totter breaks and someone gets hurt, I mean, you don't want that to happen, obviously, but you can't be sued. And so I think Dale's probably right. The insurance company's probably looking at that through a commercial vision, but I doubt that we really have any liability.
Right. But I mean, we have something that definitely, if you feel that it
Well, the
needs to
three
be-
things.
And we don't want
definitely
something
want
unsafe.
There's
Well,
like spring toys where the thing has fallen off.
Yeah.
I mean, these are really old things that really just wanna, take them out in the slide. And then the other thing that was recommended was that under the swing, there need to be I don't know what the technical term was, but like wood chips or something softer than the, what's there now. Well, now it's like grass. So we didn't know if something like that could be, because we're on the verge of now hitting like prime baseball game time and stuff. So, you know, should I put like danger around those pieces of equipment to keep people away from, off them until it's dry enough? I think we can get back there now, but, or what does the town want us to do? Specifically with the playground.
I would say if you got dangerous pieces of
Yeah.
equipment, I'd rip them out.
Take 'em out.
Just yank them.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, 'cause the sign's not gonna do a little.
and it's not a lot of expense, I mean,
But anyway.
The ball,
I mean, Seth or Chris or somebody can run down there with a loader and rip the things out of the ground and put some gravel in and,
You could do that, because it says these are the two spring rockers and the slide that have to be removed.
Yes.
Is that the
Yeah,
old
I-
metal slide they're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, these are the pieces located outside the ball field fencing along the tree line.
Yeah, I have all that paperwork, we was gonna do it last year. just
You were?
Never got to it, yeah.
Okay.
Can you get out there with a loader?
I'm not 100% sure, I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't even been over and looked at it, but.
well.
Now, if you put equipment back, don't it have to meet certain specifications?
Oh, yeah.
oh
Yeah,
yeah, the putting
well,
back
the-
part is we're gonna wait until we have our road in.
Yeah.
Well, even the swing set doesn't meet
Well,
standards,
they weren't
but
sure, but it did once we measured.
Yeah,
it does
They have
now.
a thing called safety zone, it has to be like, I
Yep.
can't remember how it's explained, but I can't remember the numbers, but,
Well, it says if the swing chains are 8 feet long, the play zone is 16 feet in front,
has to be
measured,
double the length of chain.
Yeah.
correct.
This
It's like-
does.
Did you have wood chips
Could you
when you were
find
a
out
kid?
about-
No,
Can
concrete,
you find out more
concrete,
about this?
concrete.
Because seriously, I mean,
And-
this
and you
doesn't.
made it.
Only if I
none of
have
this-
once, and
Well,
that was the end of that one.
I've read it, I
measured
haven't
that, so
done
we're good
anything
with
about it.
the safety zone and the swing, that's no issue.
Okay.
And I think the wood chips are an elective,
Okay, so I mean, as long as you guys are good, I mean,
Yeah,
to my knowledge, no.
We've
kid-
hauled wood
yeah,
chips in
right.
there, how many different, I mean,
I'd rather fall on grass than
Same
wood chips,
here.
thank you.
yeah, I mean, we all grew up.
yeah, yeah.
Wood chips give you splinters.
Well, they requested that, and I bought them in, I think, from
Yeah.
Thunder River at the time.
I was gonna say, but I mean, we've hauled them in there quite a few different times.
Long time.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Of course, they've rotted down and hardened up too.
Yeah,
well, that's just it, I
Well,
mean, it's
yeah.
probably getting kind of,
Turn into compost.
Yeah, it will after a while.
Yep.
After a while, yeah.
And then you got another problem.
The current ones are from hardwood.
That is,
Yes,
yeah.
that's what we did in Parkland too, we got them from Hadley. And like she said, I'd much rather fall on grass than them thing.
I would, but that's just me.
I can't imagine.
I'm
that
not gonna be
with your bare
swinging,
feet
so-
and the kids
I
running.
can't either, no.
But-
So I will look into that. Let me write that down as well.
seems like something like cedar hair, you know the mill out as you go past Dover out, that huge pile. You can go with any size dump truck and for $15 fill it up and haul it away. And that stuff is, it's great, it works like fabric, like a natural fabric.
All the
From the cedar mill.
shingle hat,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah, from the cedar.
that seems like it would be a better surface to fall on than hardwood
Hardwood
chips.
Yeah.
I mean.
That's what I said too when we
That's way
delivered them.
better as far as insect repellent.
Yeah, and it doesn't decompose.
Would you email that to me, Jody?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and I'll give you his name.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Back to the
Thank
top.
you.
Paving quotes and budget funds.
Okay. You had paving quotes last winter from Northeast Paving, Pike, Von Thibodeau, Wellman, B&B. I had to look at them and compare them because all Lois gave you was the total tonnage. So if you look at the top of this, that's Silver's Mills. We apparently told them it was 2,640 feet by 20 feet. The tonnage runs from 480 to 495. So I'm guessing the 480 is on the low side, but I don't know.
All they are anyways, I guess.
Yeah. You're gonna pay for what you get.
Really.
Yeah,
Right.
I
You
look,
pay for what you get, but who's closer? I mean,
I worry more about what we're paying per ton,
Yeah.
so.
yeah.
Yep.
And then the tonnage is there. So there's a difference between 32,000 to 47,000, there's a big,
It's a big difference.
big difference.
$67 a ton to $97.
Yeah, there's really
Yeah,
only
you gotta
3
look
in
at
the,
That's huge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, actually, there's 4, but 3 that are really, Thibodeau is significantly less than,
Yeah. Worries me a little, I don't know why they're so
We use those
So
in the
much
past.
less. We ever used Von Thibodeau?
What's
for
that?
paving, Von Thibodeau.
Thibodeau,
Oh, they're reputable.
They're reputable?
Oh, definitely.
okay,
Is it okay if I let,
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, they're,
these are
you
quotes.
have it set here,
You want one, Steph? I have several, I believe.
Sure, why not?
Well, yeah, no, I would guess. I have too many folders.
you have,
That's yours, baby.
okay, yeah, no.
You don't,
well,
there should have been one in your folder.
I gave it to Charlie.
Oh, you gave it to Chumley? Well, hold on, hold on, guys.
I think it's worth having them
Yeah.
follow along with us because if you have,
I do not.
okay,
That's okay. I have
Give it
more
a
of these.
okay.
makes more sense. to have
Yeah,
it.
it does, right?
Yep.
And I'll sit down.
And the other part is, I took McFeeters and, tried to compare them. The difference being, when Pikes just revisited McFeeters, instead of a 1-inch shim average, they were talking a 2-inch shim average, which gives you a lot more tonnage. They had, and they slightly altered their price, they came
Yeah.
down a little. Well, this one, and this one's less, and I don't know why.
That's different.
So,
Buck a ton.
Yeah.
Everybody else stayed the same, didn't they?
I haven't talked to anybody.
Oh, okay, you
Else,
just plugged the price
I
in?
just plugged the prices in
Okay.
to see what we were,
So you
looking
got
at-
that from them, or you plugged, you just,
I got that from them, yes.
72, 75?
so he went up $1.
No, this one, hold on.
I'm confused to how.
Pike had $74 a ton as an estimate. And for the two projects, 2,200 tons, 2,210. For a total of 163. Remember Lois gave you
Mhm.
this
Okay.
last.
Yes.
Pike came back out and relooked at the roads because you had questions about Silver's Mills. And we also did McFeeters. And his price came down from
Well,
what,
because wasn't his price a quote?
yeah,
Didn't he
It was a
quote?
It's
quote
just an
last year.
estimate.
Yes.
This year's a,
yeah,
Okay.
it was not a
Right. It
set
was
number in the
no,
fall.
it was not a
It was an
bid.
estimate, now
Right.
it's a quote.
Right.
Whereas everybody else's last fall was a quote.
yep.
Yes, that's right.
I'm surprised with the price of fuel going up, that the price per ton come down.
Well,
But when he quoted the
How many
ton, when he
jobs is
quoted
someone?
the price for Silver's Mills versus, McFeeters, he quoted it as $1 a ton less.
yeah.
I'm surprised he come up with he's saying a 2-inch average shim.
Yep,
I don't understand that.
well, apparently when Lois sent it out, she said a 1-inch average, and that's what everybody,
Oh.
did, but when we were driving around, he kept looking at it, going, that won't ever work, you need more. So I don't know, what do you think?
That's why down here, his total tonnage is way more than anybody else.
Because
Sure.
of that
Right.
2-inch.
Yeah.
Because you gotta put it on there to get that back anywhere near level. If you
And
just
he
go with 1 or
said,
2
he
inches,
said the 1-inch, you're just never gonna cover it,
then you're never gonna do nothing.
so I don't know. I mean, some of that road,
That road is 1,000 times better shape than what Silver's Mills was, and we didn't have to do 2-inch shim on Silver's Mills.
maybe we
Okay.
should have though.
Maybe, but I'm just saying.
I don't know.
But he didn't say that. is
I don't
what
know.
I'm- No, I me neither. I don't know either, I'm just.
What do you end up with on the Silver Mill
Can't
Road, an
remember.
average him?
Can't remember.
What they did, you don't.
I don't remember what the average was.
1 inch is real,
1 inch is almost pointless,
Yeah.
isn't it?
almost painting it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
but it's all by the ton, I mean.
Yeah, it's all by the ton.
Yeah, Northeast has got 1 inch, it's $97 a ton, you know,
Yeah.
1.5 inch, $97 a ton. So, I mean, it's really,
It's the ton price.
and we decide, do we want 2 inches or 1 inch?
Right.
You're still gonna pay by the ton.
Right.
Well, it's whatever they have to put down, I mean, it's just a guesstimate.
Shim is
I
not
mean,
what
you
you
look
want,
at
it's
that
what they're gonna do.
uneven road.
Right.
Right.
That's why I'm saying, Pike has, they're talking 2,570 tons, as
Yeah.
opposed to everybody else is 1,800, so, I
Right.
mean, they're obviously figuring to actually put some pavement on it.
Evidently, yeah. They're
Now,
probably more realistic.
Is,
Yeah,
I think you're probably right.
can somebody educate me? We have base, surface, and shim here. What's the difference?
The different size of aggregate.
Okay, so this
Your
base.
shim is almost a sandy skinny mix.
So that has to do with this, like the base is 19 millimeter and the shim,
These guys are all
the
using
shim
the
and
same
surface is
surface and-
12.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
using
they're
the
all-
same size.
They're all using 12.5.
And different aggregate will perform differently in terms of withstanding traffic and weight.
Right.
But all of these quotes are the same
Same,
size.
because-
12.5.
yes, yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I think,
They're just saying it as shim and surface, because shim, they're guessing on tonnage.
right,
It's an eyeball, what they think they're gonna do.
exactly.
In surface, they can say, it's so many feet wide and so many feet long.
We
and
can
They
it's
know
tell
gonna
you
be
that.
right
that.
close to the tonnage.
It's gonna be an actual number,
In fact, I had a slide scale that I could.
whip it right out.
Find it, you know, exactly what.
So it really, they're all bidding the same aggregate. You know, it's really just
Because-
tonnage.
right.
And we decide, do we wanna buy a Chevy or a Cadillac?
No, that's not what you're buying. This 1 inch average and this 2 inch average, this is what he's estimating it's gonna be. It's
Yeah.
not what we pick.
No, if we say we're only gonna pay for 1 inch, that's all we're gonna get.
No,
No, it's
no,
shim.
this is just a guesstimate,
You tell them you want an inch, that's what they're putting down.
No, it's on shim, not on the
not on
pavement.
the shim.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Oh, well,
On the shim, it's an what he's saying is for
Well,
me to
that-
shim that road,
Right.
you're gonna average, your average on that road is, one guy's saying, you need 1 inch of shim and it's gonna shim fine,
Right, right.
and I can surface it. What Pike is saying is that road is, no, it's not that good, it's worse than you think it is, you need 2 inches average of shim,
Right,
is what he's estimating.
you're right, yep.
So it's the price per ton that counts,
Right,
right,
and
because
the quality of your
when the,
contractor.
because when the others get out there, they might say, yeah, you can't do.
what's gonna,
1 inch.
exactly, they're gonna go out there to shim that, and one of these guys is right, and one of them is wrong.
Did any of the,
Or 3 of them are
have
wrong.
any of the others looked at it? Did they actually
They all,
put
no
eyeballs on the road?
idea.
I do
I'd
not
say,
all
I'd
know.
say Pike is close to the right in any of them.
Yeah, me too.
yes, I would suspect that you.
So the,
If you're gonna shim and pave, you wanna pile it on there.
you gotta go with the tonnage price, you can't go with the
I'm on a ton.
Yeah,
final figure.
Right.
And we haven't got a price for reclaiming.
yes, you do. You have, did I not send this to you?
Yeah, I've seen, you said it, or said,
I thought I emailed it to you guys.
don't remember seeing
no. I don't
No?
think
They're all
Okay.
really pretty close, except for that northeast pavement. Is that the one that's going to work?
That northeast paving, it used to be Lane.
Oh, that's who's doing the road out to
Yeah.
Dover, right?
Is it?
Reclaiming
I
fine.
ain't
I
been
think I
down.
see that on their truck.
He put it on
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I did not put it on this comparison because it doesn't compare.
I never heard of them.
Me neither. Well, she said that.
It's
Northeast used to be Lane.
Oh, used to be Lane?
Yeah.
Okay. Cause you gotta be careful, Pike's got three or four companies,
Right.
No.
but it's still Pike.
Yeah, the
No, well, I sell them grade stakes.
So,
Northeast is,
I'm-
was.
You used to be
You can
Lane.
see his price, his ton is still the same, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But now we've got extra steps in here.
Yeah.
Reclaim, fine grade,
Right.
2 inches of, and that's all just McFeeters. So how do the two prices compare?
It's about 17,000 more.
That's not a lot.
Well, it has to be more than that, doesn't it?
I'm sure it's not as far as that goes, but you gotta add something to it, so that's gonna cost more money.
You
You're
got,
gonna have to, if you grind it, you're gonna have to put gravel on it. There's no two
Okay.
ways around it.
So you're gonna end up with, just like the Flanders Road with a 5-year
Right,
road, no good.
Yeah.
right.
Mm.
And if you're gonna reclaim, you gotta put it on top. It needs to be mixed in with what they're reclaiming, not
I
just,
don't know, we put it on top there last year, and I was talking to a guy the other day that travels that road a lot, and he thinks it worked better that way.
just putting it on the top of
Putting it
it.
on top after we ground it, but
Did you put cloth or anything down?
we
Or
did,
just-
Did you roll it?
just ground it, oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Get a compactor with a big compactor.
and then you plowed it all winter. You haven't paved it yet?
yes, we did pave it,
Oh, you did pave
we
it?
did pave it, yeah.
And then when you pave it, you don't need to shim it, correct?
No,
No, because.
Right,
it's big.
because it's, you're right, no, though, I'm just making
And
sure.
But you still,
Right.
you
How
still.
much gravel
putting
did
that
you
down.
have?
Yeah,
But you got about 3.5 inches of minimum pavement to get
Yeah.
I mean, is it,
yeah,
like per 100 feet, do you have an, I mean,
I can get one for you, yeah.
yeah, I'd like
I can
to,
figure
that way
out.
we'll know what we're actually talking about.
Yeah,
And
yeah, I've
did-
still got all the old stuff, I'm sure
Yeah,
I can figure that right out.
yeah, if you would give that to Bridie, then she could forward those, then we could do an apples to
Yeah,
apples
Mhm.
comparison.
Right,
Because you're, the 17 is probably, you're probably gonna have a lot more than that in gravel.
probably yes,
Mm,
yes.
But we may end up with a product that's worth an extra 30,000. I don't know that yet, but that's the decision we're faced with.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're building the road up,
Not really much.
not much?
Not much, no.
Okay.
I mean,
You're
you're
gonna
gonna
build your shoulders and
Right.
Yeah, you're
Well,
gonna
it
get taller and
your
wider.
sides up, and then you're gonna have to do some shoulder work after you pave.
Yeah.
Right,
Which-
Quite a lot of shoulder work.
If you go up 6, you're going, you go up, you're going out.
going out.
Right,
yeah.
with the gravel, but then your road's narrower.
No, that's why the road
Can't
won't be
be.
narrower.
Right.
Because
If you
as
keep the same
you go-
width, you go up, that means the shoulders have gotta go up.
Correct.
Gotta go.
Because you gotta
Because
get to the
the
same
road-
point.
Okay.
Doesn't matter where your road is, the road has to be that wide, so the higher you go, your footprint ends up being wider.
Which, almost up there, if we don't take trees and we don't do,
you
you're
can't
not
do that.
going this
No
option.
way, no way,
It's
no,
it's just not feasible.
no.
But if you decide to do the A job, and you take the trees, you do the ditching, you might be able to do this, but we don't have a tree price yet.
No, I called, Ingstrom's came and looked at them. I talked I've been calling CMP for 3 weeks, have I been here 3 weeks? I've been calling them since,
I'd give up on CMP. 'cause they
Doesn't
don't
sound
care.
like they care.
they don't care.
It's
and
not
they-
their responsibility.
Unless I can track this person down.
I wouldn't even, it's just,
You
Well,
call
I
them
was
if we
calling-
drop a tree across the line.
Well, I
then
was
you
calling
go.
them for French's Mills.
Well, that's your
Because-
but it's the same
contractor's fault.
situation.
It is.
It's
But-
not their responsibility to take a tree down.
Yeah.
Even though it's near a line,
Yeah.
it's still ours.
Yeah,
They're nice enough that they occasionally will maintain and cut some of them. But it's,
so maybe he'll call me back someday, maybe not.
Yeah, for our purposes, I don't think they're gonna matter much.
So I called,
I wouldn't even contemplate on them coming back with anything.
no,
okay, all right.
I really wouldn't.
Unless we get a big windstorm and,
Well, the number was there, I was advised to
No,
call
no.
them, lesson,
Mhm.
on the
But
job
It
lesson.
would be a big asset to get rid of them trees, 'cause them roots are up underneath the road and stuff.
oh, it's no question, it's
It-
affecting the
it's
road.
Shading your road and everything.
And it's not gonna be better 10 years from now.
No,
couldn't
So
do it.
Engstrom's going to give me a quote on cutting them down on chipping, but he recommended not to do that. He said, you ought to find somebody to haul it. I got to thinking about it. I called Thomas Logging to see if there's any pulp in those trees that we could get some money back from it. And you asked me to contact Kelsey, and Kelsey will get back to me, I'm sure, but I didn't do it till this morning.
okay.
Butch said to me, he thought there was value in those trees.
Yeah,
Well, the only trouble is, when them boys take them down from the top, they're gonna be in little pieces.
Sure.
So you ain't gonna have pulpwood.
No.
I don't know where you're gonna
well,
get,
Engstrom's
Length.
thought that if Cabot's agreed, they could get some equipment in there and pull them down,
pull them over, okay?
pull them over, and then
Yeah.
there would be some on that side. On the other side, yeah, I don't think there's any.
Yeah, but once you get on the other side, you gotta deal with every landowner and to have that
You
conversation.
gotta take them
Yeah,
down
and I've
piece
only
by
had the conversation with Kevin, I haven't had it with Phil, I don't know what Phil might
But it would
say,
seem to
but,
me if there's value in that wood, that value would go back to Ingstrom's and it simply, that'd be part of their quote. If they're gonna say, okay, we got $3,000 worth of
No,
wood
they're
here.
gonna put it on the
they,
ground.
they're just gonna put it down on the ground and walk away.
Yeah.
They won't dispose of it for us.
No.
Well, they will, but
They're-
you
you're
won't
gonna
like,
pay.
you won't like the price.
Well, that's what, it's,
Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, we gotta get rid of it some way. And it's, I mean,
Yeah,
But if
We
it
could
had, if
put it
it
in our
had
stump
wood
dump.
in the little pieces, the only one around that would be any value to would be Toby.
right.
He could put it into firewood.
It's not hardwood.
Is poplar,
They're all popple?
They're all
Yes,
poplar.
Oh, no wood. No wood
yeah,
for
that's
nothing.
what, that's.
Realistically, it's all headed for the
I don't
stump
think
dump.
you can get rid of it with popple.
No, because I
Well,
tried.
There
Thomas
was a
will
time
tell me
that
if I can or
Paul was doing
can't.
real good, but I wonder if this stuff might be too big, cause they won't take.
Oh, it's monster.
Right.
Yeah.
It's huge,
I
I've
can't
never,
remember what it is, 21, I think it is,
I
they
don't know
won't
if
take any
Yeah,
bigger.
21
Oh.
to 30,
Yeah.
30 maximum.
Those are all over 21.
Yeah, they're all over 20,
Oh,
yeah.
wicked.
Yeah, I don't know. But so I put out,
yeah,
I-
yeah.
I bet it's all gonna probably end up on Flanders Hill, right the stump dump.
Yeah.
Yep, or
Right next
Paul,
door, yeah.
yeah, Paul said he'll take everything.
Good, that's the place. to
It is
live.
close.
That'd be cool.
well, that would be,
I'd make sure he wants all that before
Yeah, no, I'll double check with him, but
Yeah.
see how, what he means by everything.
Hope he buries it all.
he. Well,
Then I have to look at it for the
if you're
next
involved, you can
years.
decide where it goes, Jody.
That's right.
how would
Give
you
it to
like
the
some?
landowner.
Just haul them down to your house. So anyway, so that's, I hoped to have somebody
Yeah, yeah,
get gotten
that was
back to
sort
me,
of
but,
last minute.
Who else have you reached out on trees though, besides Inkstrom?
I haven't,
Okay, I will try to get you a different one tonight.
okay.
I know at the house, we had some trees come, I cannot remember the guy's name off the top of my head.
I'll
but
call Reggie Moore, he had the name of somebody who,
This guy was in Dexter, he works
Yeah.
for Aspen, and he has a side business on
Oh.
his own, and he's fully licensed through the state, and
I heard something about him the other day.
he cut my weeping willow down, which was a monster, and I had 2 ashes that come right up over my house, he cut
Oh,
all
geez.
those down,
Wow,
sprayed all my stumps and killed them, and I think I paid, it was like $350,
whoa,
so, for
jeez,
3 trees, so.
wow,
With
That's-
one of them being a weeping willow, so you know what that was.
It was a horrible mess. I have a huge one on my lawn, I hate it.
No, they're awful.
It's a good shade though.
Yeah, you don't notice that, you don't realize that when you have a deck, that that's your shade until you cut it down.
uh,
and then I just played with the numbers because I'm like, what can we get done? The budget for public works is 514,000.
yeah.
250 of it is road improvement, 184 is for your winter roads, 50,000 is for summer roads, that leaves you 29,000 basically left in your budget. Of that 29,000, 15,000 is wages,
Can we back up a second?
you sure can.
Alright, so 250,000 for road improvement, that's gonna be, that's where the paving's coming, right?
Well,
Paving in that project.
yeah, the I would think in your road improvement, it would be paving, it would be, you're prepping for paving.
That's why I hate these titles, because I can move anything around and put it in any one of these, and.
Well, you asked me to
That's why
look
I
into
don't-
that,
No, I know
so I
that,
did.
that's why I'm asking.
So I did, I looked up in the MMA's manual. You can do lump sum budgeting, which is what we did in our town warrant.
Mhm.
You lump summed this. You still put it into your lines because you want to be able to estimate,
Correct.
but you can spend it however you feel. You just have to justify it in,
Sure,
you know, when you,
but if
It's
you
all
go
said and
from
done.
one major, if you went from the road budget over to the fire department or the rec.
you
Right,
can't, you
right.
can't
that
do
would-
that. You
that's
can't
not
do
gonna
that.
It has
fly.
to stay within the same.
But if it's
department.
culvert versus ditching,
You have
that's-
warrant, well, you have warrant articles, and
Yep.
your public works was one article, except that you had 100,000
For paving.
For paving.
for paving, so that has to be, that 100,000 has to be for
Yep.
road improvement.
which we'll do easily,
It has to be
Right.
for paving.
yeah.
Paving.
Yeah, we
It says
actually
road-
said paving,
So
so
we said paving when we asked for the money.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
we'll spend 100 on paving easy,
Yeah, that's-
so
Well,
it's not
it,
gonna
it
matter.
doesn't matter,
Yeah.
that is,
But that was my question is so like,
Where
I
is
know down on there was a line item for wages, which we don't necessarily, may not, I know
I
a
looked
lot of
at-
yours comes out of that, but if at the end of the fall and we got all kinds of extra money there, can we, I wanna make sure that, which I've heard we can, I've heard we can't, that's why I asked you to ask, but we could take that line item of wage money leftover and use that for road improvement and use on gravel in the end of the year.
Correct.
I believe you can, but I've only read the manual, if you want me to check further. But,
Yeah, I got it rubbed into me, cause I give Ken heck, we end up $30,000 left, and they just did a sloppy job on them trees on East Sanibel Road. I gave him a talking to in late November. He rubbed it in a number of times when we were doing the next year's
The
budget.
budget, yeah.
He said, I can do anything with that money, as long as it stays in that department. I said, yeah, you're right.
Well,
Line item budget.
from going to these,
lump sum is actually still a line item budget, how, I don't know,
Wow.
but that's what they say it is.
from going to these workshops, it's, the municipality, basically, the restrictions are restrictions you put on yourself. If you have an ordinance that requires a line item budget that's very rigid, that's the way you have to live. I mean,
Right.
you've set it up that way, but you don't have to have it that way.
And we don't.
And we don't.
We have departments.
We have
That's right.
departments.
That's
We
right.
have a
We break it
budgeting
down just for
to
convenience.
help us figure it out.
Right.
Well, yeah, you wanna have a pretty good
Sure.
idea about how many culverts you need and what that's gonna cost and how much gravel you're gonna use, and you want to know those things, so that's why you go through the budget process. But when you get into your project and you use 3 less culverts than you thought you were going to, and,
You're not gonna
but
sit
you
around
had
and
to
sure,
use
yeah,
6
right.
tons more gravel, or I don't know.
Right, or
yards
gee,
of
fortunately,
gravel.
now we can buy more gravel because
Right.
Correct.
you're perfectly
Right.
right to do that.
Right.
Correct.
In
So
fact,
that-
they used some salt money they had left over one year to build a salt shed.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, yeah, that's a perfect
They put
example.
one in, they used the salt, so.
Yep,
But you
they took
needed a
few
shed, yeah.
$1,000
Right.
and built the shed.
right.
Still need to be repaired.
Unless somebody fixed it.
I don't remember it being fixed.
The salt shed, somebody lifted the roof off it.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't notice that.
I
Yeah.
didn't,
Warren mentioned that to us in a
Oh.
meeting early in the winter.
With the
Oh.
loader?
Yeah.
We still got water running right through that salt shed out into the bog. That ramp needs to be taken out and be refigured there so the water will, remember Jody on that
Yes.
DEP plan that the planning board got out? It never happened.
Never happened.
And the water runs right through that salt shed, right up the backside into the bog.
Right into the
so there's a
Piscataquis.
plan somewhere that I should be looking for?
Yeah,
Yeah.
was a plan all drawn up.
Yep,
Okay.
yep, that would have been 4 years ago,
Yeah. Anyway, maybe a little longer,
5?
but I think 3 or 4 years ago, sometimes 8, 10.
Is that-
Yeah,
Well,
well,
yeah,
that's true, you know
it-
what,
it
it is, cause I remember the camera I was using when I took that picture, I would use that camera forever.
You can.
Yeah, I come up and help you with
Yes,
Gary and.
yep, I remember that was a
That's
long
back when
time
there
ago.
was, but isn't there a DOT letter or something
Yeah.
after that that says everything's free and clear and good and?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Public Works did a little scab job out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it said it was
Just
all
made
good.
it work.
Were you on the board?
No, but I
Oh,
remember
you
the conversation.
Oh, yeah,
I've never seen the letter, but I heard there is one.
yeah, who knows where that is?
It may appear, people come in and ask for stuff, and I'm like,
Supposedly it's in the town garage.
oh, well,
Is
I-
there
That's what I've always heard.
paperwork at the town garage?
Yes.
Oh,
There is.
Oh, there, it probably is there then,
there's some,
Okay.
a lot of it's been moved,
okay.
but, I've got like 6 files for each road. So,
Oh.
at some point you get to look at all this stuff, but I
Yeah,
haven't.
So we need more information before we can make a decision on,
Yep,
so. And if that comes in and you feel like we would have enough information to, and you
Have
wanna
a
schedule a
special-
meeting,
Yep.
you give us a shout and we'll
just let us know.
get
Okay.
it rolling, so.
But with all of these numbers, we get down at the bottom, it says a leftover 29.2.
yeah,
So we're saying that everything is spent at $29,000 right today.
no. So you have that in your budget, you have 250 for roads, winter roads, you're gonna spend all of that. You haven't begun to spend your 50,000
Okay,
for
alright.
summer roads, but that's
Got
what
it.
you have, and that's for your grading, that's for graveling, that's for
Roadside mowing.
roadside mowing,
Cutting trees.
I don't know if we're gonna do any brush cutting,
Culvert replacement,
that's for, if he has to replace that culvert,
stuff like that.
yeah, that's
Correct.
stuff that you probably, not to say that there won't be a few $1,000s to maybe
Yep.
start on your prep of like East Sangerville or something, or to work on, but you don't know yet.
Correct.
And you haven't used any of that except like $750 for, there was a road sign and there was the beaver issue, and so that's about what's been spent out of there.
What's
So
the
I-
next three negatives? That's brilliant.
Well, I was just looking at finishing Silver's Mills should be under 40,000, but I thought 40,000 would probably cover it. I used Pike's estimate and said, well, you know, if you take away those, you have about 23,000 left in your for road improvement. Give or take.
Gives us a ballpark.
Yeah, and then I looked at the 29,000 and said, well, what is that? Well, that's wages, equipment in the garage, basically, with a couple of very small things thrown in. Last year in wages, you spent a lot of wages
Yeah, we're not spending that this year.
cleaning up public works, so. And you did spend a little bit on Seth and I imagine like if Warren charges me for putting a boat dock in, or
Correct.
if,
Sure.
you know,
Right, trees down, I mean, you gotta.
Yeah.
Pulling out the broken toys out of the rec field.
yeah, those
Yeah.
kind of things will come out of there, so it's not free and clear money, but,
Right.
Right.
Well, you're gonna have to make sure you still have that, I mean,
right, those are just the pots that we were
you
looking
know, in the
at.
fall next year, you're gonna end up. Okay.
So I just wanted you to
So
know
what about
what
the equipment then?
the equipment one, I don't know that we're gonna spend much on equipment, I mean, I can't, what do we have left? The loader,
Oh, so is that maintenance, equipment maintenance, is that more not purchase of equipment?
no, it's not
Okay,
purchase
okay.
of equipment.
Okay, so it's maintenance.
The only thing that I would question on that is, and you could actually ask Butchie, is we have had to do a few things to the dozer in the last couple of years where it wasn't washed out for years and it had the salt in it. We've had some pins and stuff that
Yeah.
we've had to get people to free up. So I think last year was good, and I know we fixed an oil leak in it.
Yeah, and then had to get Willie Williams down to heat up the track.
Yeah, that's what I was saying on the pins,
They
yeah.
would humped up and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it should be okay. but-
That seems like it should be enough money.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah, I don't
gosh.
think it's anywhere gonna be near
In fact, you're
that.
gonna have
Yeah.
some left over, I mean,
Yeah,
but it, you know, like you say, at the end of the year, you got a little money left over, do a little more graveling or a little extra ditching, prepping or whatever.
You know, if we had thought at all, we would have put the sale of that truck, any of the proceeds coming right back into this budget.
no, we didn't.
And nobody, I mean, everybody would have been in favor of it.
Yeah,
Instead, there's 38,000 just sitting there.
Goes back in
Till
the
next
general
year.
fund.
yeah,
I mean, that will,
Oh, that would have.
we can tag it
Sure.
next year, but it's unfortunate. I mean,
Yeah, that would have, and then the garage, what's,
it's Division 10, that's, oil, phone, electric, water, sewer, garage supplies, road signs, safety equipment, a little bit for insurance,
so that's what, that's,
renovations.
We don't need a phone up there anymore.
Yeah, you don't have any.
Okay.
is that what we spent last year?
Last year you had 53, let's see, approved 5,470 for last year. You spent 53, but you spent 1,500 on oil, you're still gonna have some oil.
Well, we need to talk about that.
Okay,
There has to be, from the way I understand it, the water in that is all in the bathroom. That's it. We really shouldn't have to heat a lot of that building.
true.
It'd be nice to come up with a plan, and I know at one time I was told there was an electric heater, and that was the design of that, was you could keep the bathroom warm, and it would keep the water and stuff like that. And then if something happened to a piece of equipment and you did need to work on it, you could turn on and you could warm up the bay and you could, to work on equipment, but you didn't need to run the heat to heat that bay and the bathroom and everything else all the time.
Yeah, it does heat that whole,
Yeah,
the whole
I
thing.
mean, we're spending fair amount of money up there really for,
Well, you budgeted 1,200, so yeah.
I'd like to figure a way to get that knocked down. It's a personal pet peeve driving by that every day and seeing the smoke coming out of that.
Oh, yeah,
chimney.
and nobody's in there, it's not, there's no need for it.
Yeah. And I have no idea what that means, or just something else to think about, it's not
Yeah.
a, we got time on that, but it'd be
The
nice
furnace
to.
is in that same side though, right?
I think so,
It's all in the office side.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I think,
You got lights and
Did that.
sewer comes out of that, right?
yep, water and
Stuff
sewer,
like that.
yeah, electric,
Supplies,
there's
Yeah.
garage supplies,
supplies.
road signs of the sort, work underway or whatever, I mean, there are a whole bunch of them up there, the road signs,
Road signs, yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
so I don't think you need any there. Nothing for safety equipment.
You take your oil and tools and stuff right down, but you only got 2 pieces of equipment.
There's 500 for renovations.
No.
I don't know if that includes the salt shed.
Oh, there you
I
go.
don't know.
That would, that,
I think there was talk about doors or openers or
I think, the
something.
way Warren
They
described
already
it,
spent
it
something
looked like
on
somebody,
openers.
hit the roof with a loader and picked the rafters right up off the
I think it was the right side.
sills. And, cause there's spikes sticking down now, cause in other words, the nails now are supporting that roof. So it'd be kind of a pain to get up, I think you have to take the roof off to fix it, I'm not sure.
Really?
But it got through the
Take
winter.
loader and down from the top.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
bang, bang, bang.
Hammer.
Maybe that trailer dumped salt in there or something
That's a possibility.
and put her
Is
up.
it in the
Something, yeah, yeah.
It don't seem though the loader would be up that high.
Yeah,
Well, I
and
would-
Warren didn't know how it happened, he just wanted
Oh, I
us to know
bet you
that it
that's
did
what it
happen,
is.
and he didn't do it.
Yeah,
just said-
he wanted to know.
I would
Yeah.
assume somebody
That,
with a
that
loader
last
might
load
know
of salt
it.
went in the shed.
Oh, yeah, you'd know if you did it with a loader.
Yeah,
But that's a good, I bet it
yeah,
was one of the
when
salt
they
trucks.
dumped the salt in, they
Yeah.
just clipped it. Oh, jeez. Okay.
So
But
those are the
anyway,
monies.
that's fixed, so the wind will take it
Whoever
off.
delivered the
Yeah.
salt.
Too late now.
oh yeah,
That's
no,
nasty
we
winds,
need
that's
to
for
be on
sure.
that right away.
Yeah.
All right, I'll look and
Okay.
look.
Okay,
Yeah, those are all the numbers I think I have for the road.
so moving on, can we move on?
We can if I can find my agenda.
D, the cemetery.
Oh.
Oh dear, here it is, I've got it,
Okay.
so I can keep notes.
Cemetery policy and sexton job description.
Okay. We had an incident on Friday, it's been resolved, but it brought up some questions. I don't know if we want a cemetery policy. They get very specific as to who can plant what and what you can put where, but the one thing I was really looking at is you can keep people off the cemeteries from November to, and put it at the sexton's discretion, so that we don't have trucks driving through,
But why can't you verbiage a policy and that's all that's in it? We don't need a policy that has all the other stuff that you don't want.
I'm not going to put any of the other stuff. You have a village policy, I think we need to look at that, because it's, the village is the only one you have a policy for, might be all you need a policy for. We have a new sexton, he doesn't really seem to know what his job description is, I can't find anything that says what his job description is. There've been questions like, well, does he need extra insurance to be the sexton? So I questioned MMA, they said, well, as a sexton, he's your employee. As your lawn care person, he's a contractor, you've got insurance for him. He also digs the graves for the funeral parlors, so either he or they have to have insurance on him for that. But there also needs to apparently be better communication between the sexton and the office, and so we can sell plots and we can lay out plots and,
So, my initial thought is, if you have kind of a roadmap as to what you think would be helpful, that would help us.
yeah, I just wanted to put it in front of you. Actually, Jim was gonna come tonight because he really wanted a sign to say cemetery closed while mowing. Because apparently while he's at the village cemetery, people show up in droves and he doesn't want to fling a rock at anybody. He doesn't want,
Oh, while he's mowing.
while he's
Oh,
mowing.
oh,
He says that's the worst one in however many towns does, it's slowing down. He was calm this afternoon and said he wasn't going to actually put a sign out, but I'm going, okay.
So he wants to close it every time he mows it?
I don't think we're gonna do it.
I've never seen one do that.
He
I mean,
said
I go to the
he-
Dexter
He's
one.
decided,
Do it
he's
anyway.
decided he doesn't need it, because Dorian and I were saying, well, Dorian's like, well, what if somebody comes from California and this is their one shot at seeing their loved one's grave sites, you know, you're gonna keep them out, you know, and I'm saying, well, you know, what if this genealogist has traveled and they, you
You know,
know.
those
Yeah,
kinds of
he- he
scenarios
knows.
where you,
And
Yeah.
he's going,
Well, it isn't even that, but how would you close the cemetery?
he just wanted a sign, big sign.
Oh,
He's calm now. He's decided that, yeah, it's like any other policy. People are gonna come up, they're either gonna ignore the sign, or they're gonna come up and talk to you, and you're gonna have to stop and talk to them anyway. But,
Yeah, that's kind of a common sense thing, and that's gone to the wayside. But if you see somebody mowing, you don't
That's-
really back right
Right.
his way, I mean, but
well,
Like I
he
say,
said
that's
he
gone.
parks, and he's had people pull out around his vehicle onto the lawn to get around him to get where they wanna go. He was worried about his, you know, if somebody's there fixing a trimmer or filling it with fuel or oil, he doesn't want any of his guys run over, I mean. I don't know,
but he had the policy common sense.
Sounds like you have it under
That's right.
control, we're not having a.
yeah, it sounds like it's all good. I know Dexter closes their cemetery on the season, but
Yeah.
that's gated. And,
Yes.
and they, in fact, they just opened it up a
Right.
couple weeks ago, but,
And a lot of your cemeteries say by a certain date, you have to remove
and we have a village
stuff.
cemetery
Yes,
policy
they can
for
mow
that,
and stuff, and,
and I can't
It's
remember.
odd that we have a village cemetery policy, but we don't have a cemetery policy.
We have
I
a
mean, it
village-
really shouldn't be, I don't know why we would have one that's.
I don't
well, a
know.
lot of the towns have, like Dexter's a good example. You get the big cemetery, but there's all kinds of little cemeteries all over the town. They don't really have
Can't
the
close
same
them.
rules there.
Can't
Yeah,
close
they're,
them,
they're,
yeah.
you know, you come around the corner and there's
Yeah,
a
well,
cemetery there.
Yeah.
I know, but for what we would have for a policy, as far as driving and being off it should be the same policy on all of them.
Well,
It shouldn't be a specific.
I can work something up, I mean, they get very specific and, I don't know if we're selling lots and plots. And it's come to my attention that it's an issue of how many people you can bury.
Mm-hmm, oh, yeah.
And we might need to think about that a little bit. When I was talking to Ethan Annis, because of the issue, he said, well, you know, Monson just passed one where you can put 3 to 4 cremations in a
That's the way Dexter
plot.
does it.
Sure.
Yep.
He said he wouldn't recommend any more than that, but then Greenville has said you can put as many people as you can fit in there. And he hasn't had any issues because people get to looking at it and go, well, that looks awful, I'm not putting
Right. We
person
don't want
number,
14.
I'm not putting person number
markers here.
14
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
The other thing is, nothing's laid out.
It's weird too, because this conversation's come up forever, and I've always heard about people working on it, but obviously it's still not done yet.
I don't think anybody's working on it. There are several people annoyed
Oh, there's a
by
lot of
it,
people
and I don't wanna be digging up
No.
people. The sexton is in charge of coming in and filling out who's been buried where. I don't think that's been, or at some point didn't work well. The lots aren't, he's taking a tape measure and he's measuring, you're measuring from the one
They're
lot.
supposed to be pinned, right? Isn't that what we was told?
They're using pins now, and I think you
Yeah.
have to go from this point forward, and then if you ever get a chance,
Right,
To work.
repair what wasn't done.
what wasn't done. So, I don't know.
But we don't have any kind of policy as far as the number of graves, whether it's cremation or, we don't, it's basically,
No,
yeah. Cause that, Dexter has that, at least at that Pleasant,
yeah,
Mount Pleasant
I
Cemetery.
don't know if you need it, but some laying out of lots
The
and
lots
plots
and stuff
would
needs to be
do,
all laid out.
yeah.
Yeah.
you do only sell individual plots now, right?
I believe we'll sell one plot,
I
yeah,
bought a block of 6 plots,
right,
but now you have to buy
You can buy,
individual ones, I understand.
you can,
You know,
Well, you can buy as many as you want.
you could buy, yeah, and I wouldn't recommend, they have, okay, a plot is one, you buy 6 plots in a lot, I get them backwards.
Right.
You can buy half a lot, but I wouldn't go any
Less than that.
less than that.
Is it half a lot to 3 plots?
But in those 3 plots,
You can,
you can bury 3 full burials, or you could do a burial and then
Some
6 to
cremations.
8 cremations. And when I started looking into this, there gets to be issues of, okay, Mr. Smith bought the lot. He and his wife were buried there. Who gets the remaining? You know, and what happens when everybody's dead and you've got three
just like-
three
Well, you can leave
plots?
it.
Well, it's
His
just like any
asset,
other-
he can
Yeah.
bear it.
Sure,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what ends up happening, is
Yep.
it goes to the family and they do whatever they want.
Yeah.
yep.
It gets right down the line.
And
I know it does.
if they don't ever use it, it just sits
Still
there.
theirs.
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
if there's
It's
nobody
their
left.
land.
It's
Yeah,
their
yeah.
land. Yeah.
No, it's our
The only thing
land,
you could do, I
their
guess, is
lot, their lot, and I don't know.
And we have
Oh.
you
perpetual
could put a
care,
quick claim
which
deed
is
on it,
also
I
an
guess,
issue.
if you wanted to, but that's what would end up happening. If some of that got lost in the wayside, if somebody actually wanted to, if that was lost in the process, that's where a quick claim deed or something like that would come in.
They now do quick claim deeds, which they didn't before. We keep a deed. It's the person who buys it's responsibility to take it to the registry if they want it registered. Our records trump everybody else's. You should have that in the policy. You know, so
I
if,
don't remember how mine was, whether I got a deed to it or just was not,
you should have got a deed.
How long ago was it, Johnny? Oh,
oh, probably 10, 12 years ago.
Well, maybe not. I don't know.
Because we've
but-
done-
My wife was superstitious as heck when I bought it.
She's like, what are you doing?
yeah, what are you planning?
Well, it's land.
But I bought 6, and if a family wants them, I mean, her and I are gonna, you just have one little box of both of our ashes put together, but
Yep.
if the family wants them, they're available for them.
Well, we just had an issue where, we had somebody's half lot, and on the card it says his 2 daughters are allowed to be buried there, and only his 2 daughters. Well, he had at least 3.
Oh,
You know, and
Oh,
it doesn't say
wow.
anything about the wife, and how do you know what happened to the wife? Well,
But there again, it's not our deed, it's not our concern.
yeah.
No, it's his instructions.
That's right.
Yes, but
It's
it takes up a lot of time on, you know, you should have just some rules here, but, you know. If you don't have proof that this is your lot, we don't have to be. I mean, if Joe Schmo comes in,
It should be on your map, or when you sell them, I mean,
Yeah.
it's registered on your.
Well, that's why it's a
your
deed, I
town
mean,
map.
there's,
Yeah.
it's not our property anymore, it's somebody, theirs, it's.
yeah, their space. Apparently legally it's our property, I don't know. I'll look at it a little bit, I think we need
it's one of
to,
those things that we can.
There's also some discussion recently about the perpetual care account
yeah,
and trying to establish a basis. I think Lois felt like she had a basis, but it seemed very high. It didn't, it'd be for a period of literally decades of not having a basis, the amount of growth was just a few $1,000s, which didn't make sense.
okay.
So we just wanna nail that down, because again, it's kinda like, we need a starting point.
Starting point, that's exactly it.
Does all the money go into the,
If that's where we decide to put it.
yeah,
Perpetual care, there's rules, and, so
From
we
what I
should,
learned, I would recommend never putting another penny in perpetual care, but that's me,
Because there's
Okay.
quite a bit of money in there.
that you can't touch,
Right,
can't use,
can't,
and it's
right.
useless.
well, no, but there is a use for it. I'm not sure we
Yeah.
have had established the parameters, but.
yeah, I mean, that might be
Yeah, but
something else.
you
they
could
have
only
to-
use the interest off of it, you can't
Right.
actually use the principal.
Correct, that I do know.
That's what I'm saying, is there's a lot of money sitting there.
Well, and from the looks of it, it hasn't even been invested, that was the weird thing.
That's.
Well, that's what I'm saying, there's a lot of questions there.
Yeah.
Okay. Some more
It was like,
questions then.
it was like 79,000 in there and the basis was 75. It's like, we've been here for 200 years and that's what we've got to work, that didn't make any sense to me.
Did they used to spend it?
You couldn't
all?
draw enough money off to rake the lawn, say anything about.
No, you're exactly
Do
right.
anything with it.
Right.
And that's why, I mean, that's why.
I think we
say
lack
that
understanding.
I would recommend never putting a penny in there, because if you're putting all that there and this is, you can't do anything.
You can invest as long as you don't lose it,
That's,
Yeah,
there you go,
yeah.
I mean.
you know,
That too.
as long as it gains.
Yeah, okay,
But it hasn't been invested.
no.
If, but I questioned that whether the basis that
Is
we were
correct.
given was correct. That
Right.
doesn't
Okay.
make sense to me.
It's way too
Okay.
high.
Okay. Look into that.
Okay, we're done with new business. We're on to old business, landfill maintenance.
All right, I called the person who sent us the letter thinking I'd get some answers as to what we need to do. He didn't actually do the drive-by. So he hasn't actually seen the area. But basically, if we keep it, if we bush hog the trees and we keep the grass mowed and we pick up this pipe, nobody's going to look probably further
Okay.
than
Easy,
that.
easy.
But I think
Well,
we have,
the pipe has to be back in the proper.
yeah, we have to be very careful about not disturbing the crust.
Correct.
Cause if you open it up, I don't know what happens, but I assume it's all bad.
Only
I
demons.
don't
I
know.
don't even wanna, do you have something on the pipe?
I looked, I don't see pipe on here, so I thought maybe you ought to look as
If
well.
you don't see a pipe, then I don't know what.
Well,
Yeah, then-
what are there only 2 pipes?
Yep,
Because they've got all these things marked, and I don't know what the heck they
there's
are.
only 2 pipes.
Okay, so I don't see
Yeah.
any pipes,
Vent pipe.
but there's
Yeah, yeah,
but there's
yeah,
this,
yeah.
these are what, something top of well, but there are 3 of them.
Yeah,
Monitoring well.
yeah.
So-
See, that's why, the other thing, that's why I asked you about if we had any idea what we're supposed to maintain, because if you go up the road by the gate, obviously you've got the flat surface that, it's pretty obvious you're supposed to mow.
Yep,
But then off this whole side, you can see how there's a dip and you go up the other side and there's all kinds of whippets and new growth within the last 5 or 10 years, so you can kinda say, well, are we supposed to be mowing that or not mowing that? And then there's actually a second drive down here, because this side is so steep, all this whippet, you're not gonna mow anyway. But there is a second drive to come in down here, and once you look to the low side, that's all about the same size too, so I don't,
Right.
that was my question for Bridie is, when you're saying we're supposed to maintain it, be nice to know what we're supposed to maintain.
3 acres.
3 acres? Is that what it is?
They say this is roughly.
But
3
it
acres.
sounds like if,
I
as long as it looks good from the road,
Yeah, yeah.
They
people
aren't
aren't
gonna-
gonna give us a hard time. You have to make an effort.
Yeah,
And we haven't.
obviously
yet.
we've had
ignored
15
it.
years.
From the road,
Right.
you can't see any of the stuff that's growing up anyway.
Oh, well,
I mean, somebody went up there and walked around.
yeah,
But it hasn't been bush hogged or mowed for years, period, right?
it's supposed to be mowed at least, I think, twice a year.
Once,
Wow.
well, we were told once, but maybe twice.
Yeah.
But
He
once would be a
recommended
lot
twice,
more than what
but-
we've done.
Right.
But somebody physically walked the lot, or they would
Yeah.
not know there was a broken pipe.
Right,
Oh.
but he basically said to me, as long as the pipe looked right, it didn't matter if it was or it wasn't.
Just don't break the crust.
Well, it's to get gases, it's to
Yeah.
release
Sure,
gases
yeah,
out
yeah.
and make sure that it
Fence.
doesn't, burn your
Okay.
grass. You know, that you keep this grass growing. It was also recommended that we fertilize this.
Oh, the grass up there's growing good, cause I'm telling you, there's more deer sign up there than any
We
other,
went in October,
Yeah.
November, so,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
We don't need to fertilize.
No, I don't think it needs to be
No,
fertilized,
no,
it's
no.
a nice
We
piece of
don't-
ground up there when you're
No.
walking on it.
So I
Or
don't-
just the grass will grow too fast and we're gonna have to cut it more.
cut it again, yeah.
We don't need to encourage that. Right?
But anything that's on this crust, like if any trees,
I mean, when I'm
They're-
looking
they're
at this,
afraid.
I'm assuming that this dotted line is at the perimeter, what they're saying?
I think so.
So, I mean, you're down over the bank, you're
Yeah.
down on that flat.
Yeah, with this grade
There
here,
is a-
you know this is gonna creep,
Yeah.
cause this is just gonna be, that's steep.
There's an
Oh, it's way
entire,
steep.
I mean, I can tell by the contour line.
Yeah, no, it's,
this is little.
But this isn't
There's
going
an
all the way
entire
down.
folder of
Wow.
stuff to read, I mean, a
Wow.
binder.
oh,
You can read this folder, I've got a binder too. I started to look at it, but it made my eyes cross. I said,
Right,
well,
there's
maybe
a
there's an easier way to go about this, and maybe the guy at the state would know something, but he hasn't even walked it, so he didn't know anything either.
I
So,
think it's your face slope and your basic,
my fear is
Wow.
you put a bush hog in there and you break the crust, I mean, you gotta wait till,
oh no, I think you can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, you can bush hog it.
so. He said, oh, you can bush hog it, and I'm like, okay.
I don't know if you're gonna be able to bush hog that southern edge, that's
Yeah.
slow. That'll be,
I only went up to the gate and looked, I didn't go wander around.
is it that steep? Steep and Dover?
I mowed overs first, before I know that. There's one part up through there that,
Straight up, yeah.
I'm not saying you can, I just not knowing if I wanna be
So
the
I
one to say.
said, so I asked the guy, what happens when you've got a gas fence that's broken, where do I get another one? Well, he had no idea.
It's just PVC
These
pipe.
things like, go get some pipe,
Yeah.
make it look decent.
Shit.
We'll
Yes.
figure it
Who
out.
was this person that you spoke to?
His name is Nick Mayhew,
And he was with the,
Department of Environmental Protection.
You
Apparently,
gotta love it.
last fall, there was only one person doing all
Oh.
of the state.
oh
They,
jeez.
like over 600 and some odd landfills that went through the project parameters, and so he now has 60 of them, and he plans to come visit at some point.
What brought it to his attention?
He just drove
They're,
it.
they're supposed to do them every, I don't know, 3 years, 3 to 5
And he
years.
saw some trees growing out of the top of ours, noticed
So
that
the-
it
so
wasn't
the-
bush
All
hog.
right, so
Yeah.
he made a special trip to look at the site.
Yeah, but it wasn't this Nick Mayhew, it was
Oh,
whoever.
somebody else.
It was somebody else.
And they
He
just-
signed the letter
Oh,
though.
oh,
He knew.
right, we got that letter
Yeah.
that said we need to maintain it
So this is,
last
Letter
year.
did you ever see this maintenance requirements? It's a very brief, I'll send it to you all,
Well, that'd be good. That'd be great.
as to what we
What-
need to avoid.
That one in Hamden.
Okay.
Oh gee, yeah,
So,
huh? You could turn a bunch of billy goats loose out there.
There you go.
There you
I
go.
like that.
Put the goat to
That's right.
Yeah, just park them
Yeah.
out there.
Clean
You
all at the
have
same
some?
time.
In fact, there's a farmer right in Dover, I think, he's got a bunch of goats.
That's right.
That they'll fence out there.
Yeah.
Seth, you don't have any goats?
Oh, I do.
They'll make everything.
There you go. You could
That's why I
contract them,
suggested it. I know what they
contract
need.
them out.
There you go.
Okay, on to 9.
On the side, rent your goats.
yes, I read the correspondence already, those
Yeah.
are West Road.
We already covered those really,
Yeah,
right?
we
Okay.
did.
By God, they even killed the apple tree.
I just had one really quick on
Back
that.
on apple tree,
Sure.
killed it.
Yeah, they're not nice. We had a beautiful little orchard going right beside the house there, and she got them goats, they went out and destroyed every apple and pear that we had out there.
So,
Yep.
I had a citizen send me a message, and I told him I'd bring part of this up in the meeting, so, just said Masonic Lodge is cleaning out, some of us believe the town should ask for the solid oak benches to be used upstairs in the town hall. We had some like that in the hall around by the walls when they were a kid, and they have all been reupholstered and are in perfect condition, otherwise the masons are gonna store them in the old mill by Roden. And then it went on that we still would like to see an elevator or lift to the second floor. We hadn't given up on that thought. My reply was, I didn't see an issue with the benches and that I would bring that up at the next meeting. But my only thing about the upstairs is since I've been on the board, I have not heard of a single person asking about using it or renting it out.
I took a tour today
Of the upstairs?
of the building.
Okay, okay.
Upstairs and basement, yeah, I don't,
It's illuminating.
we're never
Take a
ever,
tour.
yeah, we're never ever going to use that room again, I don't think, I mean,
Well, it was interesting, we had, it was about a year ago when the Historical Society invited us to a meeting because they had a speaker that, I don't remember the gentleman's name, but he had headed up the rehab of the theater building in Dover Foxcroft. And he was really something, he had just a lot of energy, and he walked through what that process was, and I don't know if you've ever been to an event there, but it's beautiful now. And
So
he
is the town
basically,
hall.
well, he explained how they did what they did, and he said, the first rule was they were not gonna take one dime from taxpayers. And everything, he basically created an interest within the community, and they spent like, it was over $1 million.
They
And
raised
I
every.
remember
Godly.
that, I remember
Yeah.
that.
it came out
sign.
great.
Yeah,
It was obviously a huge source of pride for him, and I didn't know if we were invited to the meeting, but I assumed that this might be something that, you know, they were considering, that kind of approach, but
Right.
I haven't heard anything more about it, but, we certainly would be open to something like that if they wanted to tackle it, but it was quite a project.
But I mean, I just, my only concern is, I'm obviously I'm not against it, but I'm against spending taxpayers' dollars, cause I don't believe there's really enough use for that upstairs with what's in the area. I mean, the Masonic Hall in Guilford has a very nice facility that they rent out very affordably, that's on the first floor.
Grace Bible.
Grace Bible has a spot, there's a couple of locations in Dover. I don't really know if there's a need for another location, but the thought of an elevator going in is okay, but you toured the upstairs, the elevator is taking you to nothing. I mean, for anything up there to be used again, that's a lot of money that's gonna have to get spent again up there. And you're gonna have to raise the money to fix the upstairs, to have an elevator, and then you gotta come up with the money to maintain that elevator forever. I mean, that was, I can't remember the numbers the guy said, but part of that process of what they was raising before they committed to that was the point, was it cost this much, and this is how much it's gonna cost to maintain it.
Maintain,
And
yep.
they made sure they raised enough money to cover all of that.
They started right from the foundation, and they went right to the ridgepole,
Yeah.
they did everything, sprinkler systems,
Yeah, everything.
air,
Electrical,
everything.
all brand spanking new.
and they really had no idea what they were getting into until they started, but they just kept going. It took them over a decade, to get that project done, but they did a great job.
Was he part of a historical society?
I
or
think he
just-
might have been connected to the Historical Society over there, I'm sure Tom
Can't
remembers
think of
his
his
name, I
name.
can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name.
But he toured the place where he said, yeah, no, this could be done,
Yeah,
but.
oh, yeah. Oh, he said, yeah, this is. like
He was
what we
excited
want.
about,
Yeah.
he loved these old buildings.
Yeah.
You could have a use for it though.
Well, that was how they
Yeah.
started,
Well,
actually.
the theater had a use for it.
Yeah.
Well, they-
That was the
had
town
the theater,
hall.
they had the academy,
Right,
you
Right.
know, utilizing it. And,
Right.
they had programs coming in through the chamber and everything, so plus they had an interest from the people. We
Right.
donated, I bought a seat down there and I give them money for air conditioning and stuff, and
Right.
a lot of other people did.
A lot of other people did, they did that entire project
Yeah.
with
Donations.
donations.
Through
Through
donations.
grants.
Yeah,
Right.
and grants,
Grant,
and,
all
yeah,
grant.
yep. And in the very first, I think, in his story was basically, he surveyed, they went and they met people face to face, and if we did this, would you have an interest, is this something, and there were people, kinda speaks to the comment that you just made, no one's ever
walked in and
ever
said,
expressed
yeah,
an
we're
interest
rent
to
upstairs.
do anything.
Well,
Right,
that's the other thing that I don't know if, I think it's a misconception, but that upstairs is available and there's nothing that requires us to have an elevator. This building, for its age, we've been told is grandfathered.
Really?
We don't have to have an elevator.
I'd never heard that.
Yeah, we've been told that a couple of different times. So.
there's no bathroom up there, right? So people have to
not
come up.
sure. There's a kitchen up there.
There's a kitchen. I
Okay,
didn't see a bathroom, and I don't
so,
remember, I don't know if there is or. Is there a bathroom up there?
I don't know.
I don't.
But back years ago, we had town meeting up there.
oh God, I
There
can't
was
remember.
there was an item that come up about an elevator. And, this woman got up and the way she got talking, it sounded like she was for an elevator. Cause her mom had, the couple of her boys had to kind of carry her mom up to get to the meeting and stuff. Once you got to the final story, end of the final story, I don't see no damn neither an elevator.
My brothers can carry my
Yeah.
mother up the
They
stairs.
carry my mother up, they carry anybody else.
That's great.
I volunteer.
The whole place been in broken uproar.
That's so
It
funny.
just seemed after listening to him, that to get the place to where it would need to be so you could utilize it, the elevator would be the least of your expenses. I mean, that's just like the
Oh,
cherry
yeah.
on the sundae.
Yeah,
There's so
That's
much
like,
that has
that's
to
like
be done.
replacing the carpet in this room.
yeah.
Oh, Phil keeps coming in, he wants to
Oh, sorry.
wash the carpets.
Okay,
Next.
anything else?
No, I just, you know, I mean, it was brought up again, so I just wanna make sure that.
Yep.
Have
Yeah,
you
there was
heard,
discuss-
have you heard that the two buildings over here are tentatively sold?
Oh, with the Masonic?
Masonic called them the Legion.
No,
Really?
Yeah, both of them. Tentatively sold.
To the same person?
Yeah,
Ooh,
from
interesting.
out of the country. And, he's left the money with his lawyer. That's why they're getting cleaned out.
Oh. Out of the country.
Will they be taxable properties?
Yeah.
Huh?
As far as I know, I haven't heard of any use they're gonna, have with them, but, it's an individual that's buying it,
Huh,
buying both of them.
that's good.
Yeah, and the Legion can't, they're gonna use some of the money, I understand, for the monument. They wanna improve the monument for us right in town. And then, what other money's left over, they have to give to a non-profit organization, so they're gonna give it to the memorial field.
Oh, that's what you were
Well,
referencing
That's what I was
earlier.
referencing to.
That might help that road project.
That would
Right.
be great.
That would be awesome to get that ship shape.
Yeah,
Huh,
so this is coming down the road.
Whoa,
That's why the lodge is cleaning out the benches
yeah, I
and
noticed
stuff.
that. Wow. Uh-huh.
back to the benches though,
Thanks.
if anybody wants to store benches, I wouldn't object to them hauling them upstairs. There's no liability issue there or anything, I mean, I guess they become town property if you put them in there.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
there
the
are
only
there are
thing.
benches up there now.
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to it, but whoever wants to do it needs to understand that we don't have anybody to do that anymore, so.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
mean, it
working
would be,
benches, although
No.
I could, I
It would
guess.
be.
No,
that's how we're gonna get up there.
but that's the only thing I would be concerned
Big
about.
effort to get 'em up.
Once they put them there, they belong to the
I
town.
don't think they got them out of the hall yet. They were gonna use, Clint Roden's bucket truck to bring them out through the
Window?
fire escape door and let them down. And, I don't know if they found any loader or anything to bring them down with, so they might not be out yet.
I don't,
But
Doesn't
they're,
sound like
they're
they're
long
gonna-
benches.
Doesn't
how are
sound
we
like they're
gonna,
gonna go up through the staircase.
No.
how are we gonna
No.
come upstairs, yeah?
Good. Well, the benches probably longer than that.
Door in the
table.
back, they used to
Really?
load the
Yeah.
theater
Are they
stuff.
nice?
Beautiful wood benches.
Maybe that's an option, but
I don't even know if that door
Oh,
opens.
they're
I don't have any
upholstered?
idea, I'm just
Yeah.
You know,
not
if it
sure.
does, do you get it close, you get it close?
I see.
Upholstered in the back,
I see.
Yeah.
some of the back, the
Yeah, it's
wood all
interesting
the way
up there.
around.
We have a lot of, paperwork up there that we probably shouldn't.
Huh.
Anyway. No,
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure
Thank you.
everybody knew.
That used to be an old theater, one time.
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It did, somebody they put a suspended ceiling in up there, that's all
Yeah.
tin ceiling, and they put the,
Oh, the tin
Eyelets in
ceiling,
there.
yeah.
Oh, I remember,
Yeah.
yeah, that we went on.
filled it full of holes.
Yeah.
filled it full of holes.
Any other agenda items? Executive session?
Yes, please.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session under 1 MRSA 4056A, which is personnel, for anyone who's wondering.
We'll see who does.
Thank you very much for coming.
Nice
Thank
seeing
you
you,
very
Jimmy.
much. Thank you.
Do I have a second?
Second.
In
Second?
favor? It's 7:08 and we are in executive session.
We good?
It's 8:20.
I'll make a motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
All in favor? No action taken. I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor? We are adjourned, 8 o'clock.
Wow.